Welcome back everyone. Today we continue with part 2 of the manhwa called The Undead King. Let's aim for 300 likes on this one, okay? Also don't forget to leave a comment letting me know if you've enjoyed the series so far. With that, let's begin. Rado, with a burst of energy, lunged forward, his lightning sword aimed straight at Chrome. "Prepare to meet your end," he shouted. Chrome, barely snapping out of his shock, saw the electrified blade zooming towards him. With a quick sidestep, he avoided what could have been a fatal blow. Chrome knew all too well that trying to block such a powerful attack could spell disaster for his own sword, not to mention it might cost him his life with just a single hit. At this moment, he found himself dancing on the edge of a knife, dodging but fully aware he couldn't keep this up forever. The thought of being cornered against a wall filled him with dread. It would be the end. Meanwhile, Shelley was locked in her own fierce battle with Jeff, yet she couldn't help but worry for Chrome. As Jeff advanced on her, it was clear he was puzzled. Despite his superior skills and experience, his attacks just couldn't break through. Shelley, unyielding, stood her ground, their swords clashing with sparks flying. Jeff, frustrated, couldn't understand why he was being matched blow for blow by Shelley. "It's your lack of will," Shelley fired back, seeing right through him. "You'll never defeat me with such half-hearted efforts." Jeff, fueled by anger, launched another attack, his curses slicing the air. Shelley knew, however, that Chrome faced a greater danger. She had to finish her fight quickly to lend him aid. Over with Chrome, he leaped away as Rado's lightning-infused sword struck the ground, leaving a scorched mark. Trapped in a dire situation, Chrome realized he was outmatched and outreached. Rado taunted him. "What's the matter? Show me what you've got." Chrome, caught in a moment of hesitation, contemplated revealing his true monstrous form, yet the thought of the ensuing chaos held him back. The priest, the children, and even Shelley fighting nearby would be thrown into panic. No, he couldn't risk it. Chrome, with his back against the wall, both literally and figuratively, knew he had to find another way out. Chrome froze, his mind racing back to a perilous moment in the dungeon. It was a situation that could have spiraled out of control if not for the presence of his friends, Frank, who had passed out, and Shelley and Guido, caught in their own battles. He realized that the stakes were different now. The chaos that would ensue from revealing his true form seemed a lesser evil than allowing these villains to wreak havoc in the sacred space of the church. The fear of being rejected by Shelley and the children haunted him, but Chrome understood that his reluctance was a matter of pride more than anything else. As he hesitated, Rado, electricity crackling around his sword, taunted Chrome, suggesting that if he wasn't going to fight with all his might, he might as well accept his fate. Rado then unleashed a fearsome combination of spells, a display of power that sent Chrome reeling back, a searing pain shooting through his arm as he hit the ground. Chrome looked up just in time to see Rado charging at him, ready to deliver the final blow. Rado's voice filled with scorn. "Is that all you've got?" With his back against the ground, Chrome saw the sword coming down towards him. In a desperate attempt to defend himself, Chrome raised his own sword, but it was no match for Rado's lightning-imbued blade. Chrome's sword shattered upon impact, and he felt the agonizing pain of the lightning sword piercing his stomach. The priest and onlookers feared the worst, thinking Chrome was done for. Yet as Rado attempted to withdraw his sword, something unexpected happened. The blade seemed stuck, as if lodged in stone. In an astonishing turn of events, Rado's attack became the key to his own downfall. As he watched in disbelief, Chrome miraculously began to heal, trapping the lightning sword within himself. Rado was taken aback by the unexpected sight of Chrome's wounds changing color, signaling something extraordinary. Despite the sword piercing him, Chrome maintained a composed demeanor, astonishing Rado with his calmness in the face of danger and a chilling aura that hinted at something more than human. With a grave expression, Chrome seized the moment, his strategy unfolding. He had cleverly baited Rado into stabbing him, only to transform the skin on his stomach into that of a monster's, enabling him to regenerate. Rado, witnessing Chrome's fearsome presence, could only question what kind of being he was facing. But Chrome didn't pause to explain. Instead, he launched a powerful counterattack, landing a devastating uppercut on Rado. The blow was so forceful that Rado lost consciousness, collapsing to the ground in defeat, his last thoughts filled with disbelief. Chrome stood victorious, even as he held on to the sword still embedded in him. The priest and others present were astounded by Chrome's ability to overcome Rado, the formidable lightning wielder. Meanwhile, Jeff, still engaged in combat with Shelley, was stunned by Rado's defeat. Chrome, showing no signs of fatigue, confidently removed the sword from his wound and challenged Jeff, indicating his readiness for another battle. Shelley joined in, making it clear that Jeff now faced them both. In desperation, Jeff unleashed a poison mist, enveloping the area in a toxic cloud as he made his escape through a broken window, leaving behind a warning of the consequences of crossing them in Oddfield. As the dust settled, Chrome and Shelley could only watch as Jeff disappeared. They had successfully driven off their attackers, at least for the moment. Chrome utilized his regeneration ability to heal his wound, reflecting on the ordeal and the potential challenges of maintaining his human guise in future battles. The encounter left him with a sense of unease, contemplating the difficulties that lay ahead. The priest, now in a stable condition along with the children, expressed his gratitude towards Shelley and Chrome. Chrome was taken aback, realizing the priest knew his name, hinting at a deeper connection or knowledge. In the midst of the chaos, the priest couldn't help but ponder the fate of the children had they not been there to intervene. His concern then shifted towards Chrome's injuries, specifically his deep stab wound, to which Chrome assured him he'd be fine, thanks to his healing abilities. However, Chrome couldn't help but feel anxious. Using his healing skill would deplete his mana, jeopardizing his ability to keep his true form hidden under the masquerade. He knew he had to end this quickly and return to the inn. Suddenly, Shelley broke the tension with a declaration. "We can't stay in Oddfield any longer," she said with urgency. She explained that the situation had worsened dramatically during her brief absence, fearing that the malevolent dragon minions might return. Shelley proposed that they should head for the capital, but the priest was quick to dismiss the idea. The cost of living and the taxes in the capital were far beyond what they could afford, not to mention the logistical nightmare of transporting all the children such a distance. Shelley tried to persuade the priest, detailing the atrocities committed by the dragons, insisting that staying in Oddfield was no longer an option. Despite her pleas, the priest stood firm, confident in their ability to fend for themselves. He then shifted the focus to Shelley and Chrome, advising them to leave town immediately to avoid becoming targets for revenge by the dragon's followers. Chrome and Shelley exchanged worried glances, recalling Jeff's ominous warning that their foes would not grant them an easy demise. The priest emphasized that their adversaries were highly concerned with maintaining their image and would undoubtedly seek vengeance. Chrome was visibly troubled by the conversation. Shelley, expressing her gratitude and apologies to Chrome for her inability to offer more help, inquired about his next steps. Chrome mentioned he planned to return to the inn and had no further plans beyond that, hesitating when he almost asked Shelley about her intentions. He realized he couldn't just invite her along, considering the church's significance in her life and the fact that she was now a target for the evil dragons. As Chrome wrestled with his thoughts, Shelley found herself tangled in a similar dilemma. She knew staying in the church was crucial to protect everyone, yet the threat of those villains returning, perhaps with even more force, weighed heavily on her. She recalled their previous attack, now bolstered by the memory of additional foes. The priest's words echoed in her mind, highlighting their dire lack of resources to evacuate everyone to safety. Abandoning the church would undoubtedly leave the community vulnerable to being taken. Shelley's heart was heavy with uncertainty about the best course of action. Chrome, sharing her concerns, sought her insight on a different matter: the mysterious hole of disaster and the downfall of Oddfield. Shelley informed him that the chasm emerged suddenly to the north of town, and early attempts to investigate it had tragic outcomes. A squad of 20 knights from the capital, sent to neutralize the threat, had been completely obliterated. This devastating loss led to the kingdom abandoning Oddfield, leaving it to fend for itself against growing dangers. This revelation ignited a spark in Chrome. Understanding the gravity of the situation, he saw a path forward that could change everything. His initial journey to Oddfield was a quest for personal growth, seeking challenges to elevate his own power. However, the dire circumstances presented a noble purpose: to tackle the dungeon disaster head-on and liberate Oddfield from the menacing clutches of the evil dragons. Chrome was no stranger to adversity. Facing monsters of higher levels was precisely the challenge he sought. And what better proving ground than a dungeon that had already claimed the lives of the nation's finest knights? He recognized that if left unchecked, the evil dragon's reign of terror would continue unabated, posing an ever-present threat to the town. By descending into the dungeon and defeating its master, Chrome believed he could draw the attention of the kingdom's knights once more, not as invaders but as allies in restoring peace. Firm in his resolve, Chrome clenched his fist, feeling the surge of determination flow through him. He was ready to venture into the depths, to face whatever horrors awaited, and to emerge victorious. His goal was clear: to save Oddfield, to ascend to his next form, and to prove his might against the dungeon's darkest depths. Meanwhile, in the shadowy recesses of the evil dragon's lair, Jeff found himself kneeling before Galrud, the leader of this fearsome band. With a heavy heart and a sense of urgency, Jeff began to report. He recounted how their plan to capture slaves was interrupted by an unexpected foe, and even Rado was defeated. Jeff, with a hint of malice in his grin, informed them about a somber young lad named Chrome who was responsible. Convinced of Chrome's imminent downfall, Jeff felt a twisted satisfaction. Yet Galdo, upon hearing Jeff's tale, immediately accused him of fleeing the moment Rado fell, catching Jeff off guard. Galdo, the formidable leader of the evil dragons, radiated a chilling presence, questioning Jeff's respect for him with a tone that brooked no argument. Jeff, stumbling over his words, hastily affirmed Galdo's greatness and unmatched prowess. But when Galdo's weapon thudded into the ground right next to Jeff, sending a wave of fear through him, it was clear that intimidation was Galdo's aim. "Who do you truly fear?" Galdo pressed. "Me or the boy, Chrome?" Jeff, now kneeling and shaking, declared his fear for Galdo surpassed all else. Galdo sternly warned Jeff against bringing shame to their name again, or he would face dire consequences. Jeff, witnessing Galdo's menacing aura, remembered his rise to power was marked by sheer brutality and exceptional strength, earning him the moniker, the on-field monster, a title Jeff knew Galdo took pride in. He couldn't shake off the feeling that Galdo would indeed make good on his threat. Meanwhile, Galdo turned his attention to another matter, questioning Carnella about the reduced guard numbers at the Hole of Disaster. Carnella, a high-ranking official within the evil dragons, was questioned for her actions without Galdo's consent. She explained her focus had shifted to a more pressing issue: the knights of the kingdom, who were spotted in town. Despite only confirming a few, she suspected more were hidden. She had dedicated her efforts to tracking them down, prompting Galdo's irritation at the knight's audacity. Galdo, with a mix of annoyance and ambition, vowed to deal with the knights as harshly as he had dealt with past challengers, believing a direct confrontation might not be wise. Carnella, understanding the gravity of the situation, hinted at a more strategic approach to handling the knights, rather than risking everything in a frontal assault. Carnella shared her thoughts, suggesting they stay put for a bit. She believed the knights might be poking around the cataclysm pit and proposed they hold off until she had a clearer idea of their intentions. Meanwhile, Chrome, perched on a rooftop, surveyed the city stretching out to the north. The cataclysm pit, a gaping maw leading to dungeons that plagued Oddfield, was unmistakably visible. Feeling rejuvenated after resting at an inn, his mana and stamina fully replenished, Chrome was more than ready to take on whatever lay ahead. He scanned the pre-dawn streets, puzzled by the early risers. Suddenly, chaos erupted as a cyclopean creature, wielding a blazing orb, launched fire at the bystanders. Panic spread as flames danced across the ground and people cried out for help, lamenting the absence of the town's dragon overlord's protection. Amidst the turmoil, a figure stepped forward, declaring themselves an adventurer, and urged those unharmed and able to escort the children to safety. A brave soul brandished his sword, offering his aid, but his courage faltered at the monster's next charge. The adventurer summoned a radiant barrier of holy magic and advanced on the monster with sword drawn. The creature, irritated by the attack, focused its anger on the newcomer, who quickly dismissed the frightened man's attempts to assist. From his vantage point, Chrome observed the scene unnoticed. Suddenly, the monster's attention shifted, taken aback by an unseen threat. In a flash, Chrome leaped from the rooftop, striking the creature with precision. The adventurer, catching sight of Chrome's intervention, speculated on the presence of such a formidable fighter in a town beleaguered by monsters. Despite Chrome's unassuming appearance, the adventurer wondered if he might be linked to the malevolent dragons but decided to concentrate on the immediate threat. "Let's focus on taking this beast down," Chrome proposed, once again engaging the monster with his sword at the ready. Together, they attacked, the adventurer enhancing his weapon with a spell known as Holy Sword, its blade gleaming with divine light, ready to strike down the darkness before them. Chrome watched in awe as the mysterious woman wielded her sword, shimmering with a divine light, a stark contrast to Rado's lightning-charged blade. This holy blade sliced through the air, its light a bane to the darkness, effortlessly cutting a menacing monster in two. The creature, oozing malice and dark mana, fell to the ground, its end swift and clean. Chrome couldn't help but marvel at the effectiveness of the holy attribute against beings of shadow and decay, such as demons and the undead. He knew well enough that getting too close without caution might lead to his own undoing, purified by the holy essence of her weapon. The crowd around them erupted into cheers and gasps of admiration, lauding the woman for her swift dispatch of the beast. A man, curious and slightly in awe, approached her, inquiring if she was a passerby, a traveler perhaps. She, however, sensed an unusual pull, a whisper of attraction between the sacred and the profane. Her sword seemed to react, however slightly, to Chrome's presence. Their gazes met, each carrying a mix of curiosity and caution. Chrome felt a wave of relief wash over him, grateful that the ordeal hadn't resulted in any harm to the bystanders. As she withdrew her sword, still pondering the odd sensation she felt towards Chrome, she decided it was something worth exploring further. Chrome, on his side, realized the grave implication of monsters of such power freely roaming the streets. The tales of evil dragons protecting the populace seemed just that, tales, as none were in sight to fend off such dangers. Something was amiss, Chrome sensed, looking over the bisected monster. The air held a tension, a puzzle piece out of place. The woman, meanwhile, found no fault in Chrome's actions or words. He had, after all, assisted in defeating the monster. Yet, the inexplicable response of her holy mana to an ostensibly ordinary man raised a multitude of questions. In this desolate city, seldom visited by heroes or adventurers of renown, his presence was an anomaly. Preparing herself, she drew her sword slightly, intending to uncover the truth. Chrome, although relieved at the absence of injuries, couldn't shake off a lingering unease. His thoughts were interrupted by a man who approached, showering him with praise for their heroics, claiming that without their intervention, disaster would have struck. The gentleman expressed his deepest gratitude to Chrome and the woman, thanking them from the bottom of his heart. He rallied everyone around to collectively show their appreciation, but Chrome modestly declined, insisting that it wasn't necessary. Being the center of attention made Chrome uneasy, especially in such a large crowd. Just then, a little girl, overjoyed at seeing her father saved, ran into his arms. Their reunion was heartwarming. The man credited Chrome and the woman for their bravery, urging his daughter to thank the duo. The girl's enthusiastic compliments made Chrome blush with embarrassment. The woman called out to Chrome, who looked her way, puzzled. "What's up?" Suddenly, the monster they thought was defeated stirred back to life, readying a fireball with a menacing growl. The crowd gasped in shock at the creature's unexpected resurgence. The woman, momentarily caught off guard by Chrome's presence and her oversight of the divine prophecy of victory, quickly recalibrated her thoughts. Despite the monster's futile resistance, she prepared to defend against its attack with her holy shield spell, planning to retaliate swiftly. The monster, in a last-ditch effort to cause harm, locked its sights on the little girl, sneering at the thought of targeting her with the fireball. The innocent child, unaware of the danger, froze in confusion. The woman noticed the monster's malicious intent, understanding it was desperate to drag the child down with it. Chrome, realizing the imminent threat to the girl, dashed forward, though he doubted he could reach her in time. A daring thought crossed his mind: could his true monstrous form make the difference? Yet revealing his true identity in front of so many would shatter the life he knew. Chrome feared losing his place in Oddfield, and the thought of never seeing Shelley again weighed heavily on his heart. In a moment of self-reproach, he remembered his commitment to making a difference in the world, the very reason he embarked on the path of an adventurer. Chrome, in a decisive moment, removed his mask. Suddenly, a hand with elongated, razor-sharp claws intercepted an incoming fireball. The father, in a panic, called out for his daughter, Mallow, as the fierce fireball hurtled towards her. With no means to defend herself, Mallow shut her eyes tight, bracing for impact. Then, an explosion scattered the flames. The creature who had launched the fireball stood there, dumbfounded. Chrome's arms bore the brunt of the blaze, seared severely in his brave attempt to shield the girl from harm. Mallow, opening her eyes, found herself staring at a fearsome figure who had emerged to protect her, his arms charred from the ordeal. Chrome had shifted into his monstrous form to save her, revealing his true nature as a shapeshifter to all who witnessed the scene. The girl's father, alongside the others, was taken aback by the sight. Confronting the enemy, Chrome, now in his monstrous guise, charged. The enemy, caught off guard by the appearance of another beast, hesitated. With a swift movement, Chrome used his formidable claws to cleave the monster in two, earning himself 38 experience points for the deed. The onlookers, initially relieved, recoiled in horror as they realized a monster had been their savior. The revelation of Chrome's true identity cast a shadow of fear and suspicion among the crowd. The woman in the crowd grimaced, her expression soured by the unfolding events. Despite his heroic actions, Chrome's monstrous appearance caused panic, leading many to flee in terror. Chrome, though unrepentant for revealing his true form, felt a pang of concern over the consequences of his actions. He understood the gravity of the situation. His secret was out. The crowd's gratitude turned to fear as they scattered, leaving Chrome to ponder his next move. His gaze then fell on Mallow, who, though safe, was visibly shaken by the ordeal. Chrome felt a sense of relief at her safety, but his moment of peace was shattered as Mallow's father, mistaking Chrome for a threat, demanded he stay away from his daughter. Frozen, Chrome was then taken by surprise as the woman, armed with holy magic, launched an attack against him. She had sensed something amiss about Chrome but had not anticipated the full extent of his secret. Chrome, trying to clarify his nature as a shapeshifter, was met with accusations of being a deceitful monster, far more dangerous than any they had faced before. The townspeople were in a frenzy, their hearts pounding with fear as they scrambled for any weapon they could find. They were convinced that Chrome, whom they mistook for an evil dragon, was their doom. Chrome, amidst the chaos, felt a sense of peace knowing he had acted rightly, not seeking any reward for his actions. He chose to flee, leaving behind the townsfolk who, despite their fear, felt a wave of relief wash over them as he disappeared from sight. Suddenly, a stone whizzed through the air, striking Chrome on the side of his face. "Don't provoke it," a woman's voice rang out, scolding the thrower. This woman, pondering Chrome's actions and abilities, realized he was no ordinary shapeshifter. His ability to communicate and reason marked him as a far more dangerous entity, one she believed must be stopped before he could escape. A young girl approached the woman, eyes filled with curiosity and concern. "Are you going to kill him?" she inquired. The woman, firm in her conviction, labeled Chrome a man-eating monster, a threat that had to be eradicated. The girl's father, echoing the sentiment, tried to convince his daughter of the danger Chrome posed. Yet, the girl saw things differently. She remembered how Chrome, despite his fearsome appearance, had battled the true monster, safeguarding the town. Her father dismissed her thoughts as mere coincidence, unable to see the truth behind Chrome's actions. The girl, tears streaming down her face, insisted that Chrome had been protective, especially towards her, a gesture that went unnoticed by the others until now. Ashamed, the townspeople began to question their rush to judgment. Meanwhile, the woman, identified as Mira, was determined to pursue Chrome. However, she was halted by a firm hand on her shoulder. Captain Ellen, addressing her by name, cautioned against attracting unwanted attention, emphasizing the need to remain undetected by the evil dragons. Mira tried to justify her actions, arguing the presence of lurking dangers, but Captain Ellen stood firm, warning that any rash actions could alert the dragons and compromise the Royal Knight's order and the safety of the region. Unnecessary confrontations could compromise their mission, Ellen cautioned, emphasizing the need for stealth. Agreeing, Mira sheathed her sword and shared with Ellen the unexpected turn their mission took. A monster had appeared in the town, and not just any creature, but a shapeshifter with intelligence far surpassing that of ordinary monsters. "Why did you engage with the demon despite instructions for discretion?" Ellen inquired, highlighting the importance of their mission, which held potential ramifications for the nation's safety. Mira attempted to justify her actions, but Ellen cut her off, stressing that their task transcended individual encounters and was crucial for the broader objective. Drawing his sword, he made it clear to Mira that he wouldn't hesitate to eliminate any obstacle to their mission, even if it meant threatening her. With the blade pointed at her throat, Mira apologized. Ellen sheathed his sword, warning her not to let it happen again. When Mira brought up the intelligent monster again, Ellen dismissed it as a mere anomaly, suggesting its potential harm was insignificant compared to their primary goal. He elucidated that their focus should be on the abandoned city and the investigation of a man linked to the monster crisis, rather than being sidetracked by lesser threats. This revelation shocked Mira, but she acknowledged the priority was tracking the Red Man, cited in connection with the disaster. With a firm resolve, Mira agreed, though Ellen eyed her with suspicion, sensing her inner turmoil. Meanwhile, Chrome had ceased his frantic dash, finding himself at the precipice of the ominous hole of disaster. Gazing in awe at the so-called abyss of catastrophe, the source of Oddfield's anguish, Chrome couldn't help but reflect on the day's earlier events. Recognizing his face now meant he could never return to Oddfield. Yet, he tightened his grip, resolved that clearing this abyss was crucial for the town's safety, ensuring it remained free from monster terror and preventing the wicked dragons from claiming more of its territory. Chrome, fueled by determination, planned not just to cleanse this blight, but to also strengthen himself, evolve, and acquire new abilities or forms before making his triumphant return to the capital. With a steadfast heart, he prepared to embark on his quest, transforming into his level 25 shapeshifter guise. Meanwhile, amidst the growing chaos, the priest cautioned Shelley against her impulsiveness. Despite his warnings, Shelley, with a heart full of resolve, excused herself and dashed off into the looming danger. The veiled dragon's presence grew stronger by the day, and the monster crisis deepened. Shelley realized she couldn't idly wait for the day she felt strong enough, haunted by the potential doom her family might face. With both the dragons and the knights failing Oddfield, Shelley knew she had no choice but to take matters into her own hands. Driven by a fierce determination, Shelley vowed to conquer the abyss of catastrophe herself and safeguard her town from disaster. Her journey led her to the dark dungeon, a place shrouded in peril. Chrome, in his shapeshifter form, ventured into the heart of darkness, mindful of its history of devouring the Royal Knight's elite. Aware of the risks, Chrome planned a cautious advance, aiming to bolster his strength, leveling up over and over again while resting periodically. Chrome pondered the unique advantage monsters held in the dungeon, a stamina and resilience far beyond what humans could muster. Navigating the maze-like paths, he faced a choice between two tunnels, uncertain which would lead him deeper into the abyss. With no clear sign to guide him, he resorted to an unconventional method. Placing his sword upright, he let it fall, choosing his path by its direction, a gamble, but without any clues. He felt he had no better option. Following the direction the sword pointed, Chrome continued on, only to be abruptly halted. His foot snagged by something on the ground, he stumbled and fell, entangled. To his dismay, he found his ankle caught in a web, thicker and stronger than any ordinary spider's silk. Surely, no spider large enough to weave such a trap exists, he mused, just as two monstrous spiders emerged, proving him wrong. These weren't ordinary spiders. They were demon spiders, each formidable and unique in their own right. One boasted a maximum health of 76 and a mana pool of 32. while its companion had a slightly lower vitality at 72 but nearly matched in magical strength with 31 mana. Chrome was taken aback as they appeared, ready to attack without hesitation. The spiders cast a spell, and magical symbols formed in the air, signaling the imminent launch of their earth magic, stone bullets. Tied down by the web, Chrome realized his predicament. He was a sitting duck, unable to dodge. The spiders, cunning in their strategy, seemed to prefer wearing down their prey from afar after ensnaring them. Determined not to fall victim to their tactic, Chrome reached for his sword, confident he could slice through the web. But as he grasped his blade, one of the spiders shot another sticky web, this time capturing his arm. Caught in their trap, Chrome understood he was in a dire battle against foes that fought with guile and cunning, a situation requiring not just strength but swift thinking to escape. Chrome was caught off guard by another swift attack. This time, the spiders had him trapped from both sides, ensnaring one of his feet and both arms with their webs. They seemed to mock him with their chittering, almost as if they were laughing at his predicament. But for Chrome, their attempt to bind him might just have given him the advantage he needed. He quickly seized the web that bound one of his arms and yanked it with all his might. The sudden pull caught the demon spiders off guard, dragging them through the air towards him. As they collided mid-flight, their grip on the web slackened, and they released their hold, still caught in the momentum towards Chrome. One spider wore an expression of utter disbelief, staring down the length of Chrome's newly extended, razor-sharp claws, ready to strike. Seizing the moment, Chrome lunged at the now vulnerable creatures, his claws slicing through them with deadly precision. The two demon spiders dropped to the ground, defeated, granting Chrome 108 experience points from each, a significant boost. His experience surged, propelling him from level 25 to 26 in an instant. Chrome reflected on the efficiency of leveling up in this area, considering the presence of level 23 monsters in the shallower regions of the dungeon. Now standing at level 26 and contemplating the road to his next evolution, he pondered the pace at which he could potentially advance. The idea of evolving before facing the dungeon's boss was enticing, though he knew better than to count on everything going smoothly. Fighting monsters of similar levels had proven beneficial, but battling those even slightly above his level could yield even greater rewards. Chrome couldn't help but hope for the encounter of higher-level monsters as he ventured deeper into the dungeon. While wandering, a sudden noise caught Chrome's attention, drawing his gaze to its source. In the distance, the menacing glare of a monster's eyes shone brightly. It was the formidable demon spider, boasting a level of 37 with a maximum health of 198 and mana points at 68 out of 83, its size and appearance nothing short of terrifying. Chrome, though he had braced himself for formidable foes, was taken aback by the sudden emergence of such a powerful creature. Its 6 glowing eyes fixed on him, the demon spider charged with alarming speed. Chrome narrowly avoided its attack, which smashed into a wall, leaving a significant crack. The close call and the monster's unexpected agility, despite its massive form, startled Chrome. He quickly got to his feet, deciding to flee while he still had the chance. Aware that even at level 36, this creature was more daunting than the Gargoyle King he had previously encountered. Chrome doubted he could survive a confrontation. As he dashed away, images of the Royal Knight Squad's defeat flashed through his mind, his pace quickening with fear as the demon spider pursued him. Chrome reasoned that such high-level monsters couldn't be common and planned to lose it by navigating through the maze-like tunnels. Spotting a narrow passage, he thought it impossible for the spider's massive body to follow. Squeezing through the small opening, he grunted as he landed awkwardly on the other side, only to find the path completely blocked. It dawned on him then that the demon spider had herded him into a trap. Peering into the tunnel, the demon spider's excitement was palpable as it spotted Chrome trapped within. Realizing escape was no longer an option, Chrome steeled himself for the fight of his life. He had always planned to level up by taking on stronger opponents, and facing down this monstrous spider was no exception. It was a fight he couldn't afford to lose. Preparing for battle, Chrome readied his sword, determined to overcome this challenge as if his very survival depended on it. The demon spider, sensing its prey's resolve, prepared to launch its attack, squeezing its massive form towards the tunnel's entrance. It slammed its massive head against the wall, forcefully expanding the entrance of the tunnel. Fragments of stone hurtled towards Chrome as the structure began to crumble. The enormous spider lifted its giant leg, its claws sharp and menacing, aiming for Chrome. Chrome saw the attack coming and leaped to dodge the strike, the claw crashing into the ground instead. Observing the spider's massive form, Chrome noted its speed wasn't unbeatable. Its large size hindered its precision. Springing onto the spider's limb, Chrome readied his sword while airborne, poised to strike. He descended, slashing at the spider's neck, marking the beast with a significant wound. Chrome realized the spider's colossal size was its weakness. It struggled to move its neck. Confident in his agility and the close distance between them, Chrome believed he could defeat this giant foe. The spider, revealing its power, emitted a glow from its mouth, preparing to unleash its special ability. It launched an attack known as Blood Thread, projecting a stream of blood-red webs towards Chrome. Chrome, anticipating the swift assault, evaded the blood threads. He recognized the red hue as a sign of a special technique and took cover behind a boulder. However, the spider, with a flick of its thread, sliced through the rock-hiding Chrome, showcasing its formidable strength. As the spider wielded its blood thread against another wall, causing debris to rain down on Chrome, he realized the lethality of this skill. Determined not to fall victim to it, Chrome strategized to engage the spider in close-quarters combat to swiftly bring it down. He noted a significant delay in the spider's attack pattern, an opportunity to strike without it retaliating with its deadly skill. Soon, the spider attempted another technique, aiming a web at Chrome. He dodged just in time, the attack leaving behind a vast web. Chrome was taken aback by the scale of the assault, but remained undeterred, ready to exploit the spider's vulnerabilities. Overwhelmed by his dilemma, Chrome feared he wouldn't be able to move, which would spell doom if the demon spider used its infamous red thread skill again. Cornered and cautious, Chrome knew approaching without a plan was too risky. As the monstrous spider edged closer, the memory of its deadly red thread haunted him. Considering his tall shapeshifter form, Chrome wished he were smaller to dodge more effectively. Then, an idea sparked in his mind. With no time to waste, Chrome dashed forward, planning to shrink his size. The demon spider, anticipating his move, launched a barrage of spider webs at him. Touching his mask, Chrome prepared for his third and perhaps most crucial attack. Activating his masquerade skill to dodge the web and shift into a smaller human form. The spider, caught off guard by Chrome's sudden change, could only watch as Chrome vaulted onto its head, plunging his sword into one of its eyes. Standing atop the spider, Chrome quickly withdrew his blade, ready to blind the beast eye by eye. But as he focused on his attack, he barely noticed the spider's claw swinging towards him. Reacting just in time, Chrome deflected the claw with his sword and leapt back to the ground, narrowly avoiding a deadly clash. On the ground, Chrome realized that a relentless assault would leave him open to counterattacks. Yet he couldn't afford to waste time. As he prepared another charge, the demon spider spun a dense web, aiming directly at him. Surprised, Chrome erased his arm transformed into a monstrous shield, catching the web. Struggle ensued as he found the web too tough to cut through. Suddenly, the spider yanked the web, pulling Chrome towards its gaping maw, ready to devour him. Chrome, caught and soaring through the air, faced the beast's open mouth with a mix of fear and determination. Realizing this was his moment, sword in hand, he prepared for what might be his final strike. Chrome, now more determined than ever, refuses to back down. The battle is far from over for him. Suddenly, he feels a tug on his arm. A spider web has ensnared him. As the web tightens, pulling him closer, the demon spider on the other end finds itself clutching only Chrome's severed arm. Surprised and frustrated, the spider howls in dismay. Chrome, undeterred and even amused by the turn of events, seizes the moment. With his remaining arm, he raises his sword and strikes the spider squarely in the head, effectively ending its threat. Victorious, Chrome stands, albeit with one arm, having conquered the formidable foe. The battle earns him a hefty 1558 experience points, catapulting his level from 26 to a remarkable 33. A laugh escapes him, marveling at his unexpected triumph. Chrome's arm, which had momentarily assumed a monstrous form, reverts to human flesh. Reflecting on the fight, he acknowledges the role of luck, terrain, and an advantageous matchup in his victory. Now a level 33 shapeshifter, he gingerly retrieves his severed arm from the spider's mouth and reattaches it, utilizing his regeneration skill to mend the wound seamlessly. Realizing the extent of his injuries and the energy expended, Chrome decides it's wise to rest and recuperate. He finds solace in a secluded spot, appreciating the irony of feeling more at peace in a dungeon than in the bustling city. Once his mana is restored, he sets out again, marking his path and hunting monsters with renewed vigor. Despite his progress and increased level, now at 37, Chrome acknowledges the challenge of navigating the vast dungeon. He muses over his situation, caught in a loop but undeterred, driven by a mix of frustration and determination. Hunger strikes, and Chrome considers another meal of demon spider, revisiting his recent conquest. As he feasts, he contemplates his next move. Chrome described the odd taste as a blend of paint and rancid blood, strangely satisfying his intense hunger. In the midst of the dark, echoing dungeon, he picked up the sound of footsteps. Chrome's mind raced, initially suspecting the Undra, notorious for their strength and the hassle they presented. However, he quickly deduced these steps were different. He toyed with the idea of an unknown monster lurking nearby. The steps seemed human, but that seemed implausible. The thought of encountering someone who managed to navigate this treacherous place alone filled him with unease. Without hesitation, Chrome activated his masquerade ability, ready for whatever or whoever was approaching. To his surprise, it was Shelley who emerged from the shadows. From a distance, she had mistaken him for a creature of the night. Preparing to fend off what she thought might be a devil, Shelley was ready to launch a spellstone and make a swift escape. Her heart skipped a beat when she realized it was Chromie. The footsteps he had been wary of belonged to her. Chrome rose to his feet, questioning her presence and how she managed to venture so deeply into the dungeon with her current strength. Shelley revealed a map, a detailed guide to the Hole of Disaster, outlining both the monsters and the maze-like paths that led deeper underground. Chrome was taken aback, unaware such a map even existed. Shelley's curiosity about his presence in the dungeon led Chrome to share his goal of leveling up and possibly challenging the boss. As he took the map from her, Chrome couldn't help but think of Shelley's family waiting back at the church, realizing the danger she was in by coming here. He insisted she could navigate her way out using markers he had left behind. Shelley detected a change in Chrome's demeanor, colder than before, yet underneath she sensed his concern for her safety. His worry was palpable, betraying his rough exterior. Despite his stern words, Shelley understood Chrome's solitary quest to conquer the Hole of Disaster was also a protective gesture, aimed at ensuring her safety. Shelley's determination was palpable as she turned to Chrome, her voice steady and full of resolve. "There's no turning back for me," she declared. She went on to explain that the Hole of Disaster had once obliterated an entire battalion of the kingdom's finest, highlighting the foolhardiness of believing a lone adventurer, no matter how formidable, could tackle it alone. Chrome, understanding the gravity of her words, argued that this was precisely why she should leave. Her presence might hinder more than help. But Shelley wasn't about to give up. She implored Chrome to face the Hole of Disaster together, countering every one of his concerns with a fierce determination. She argued that her staying would not be a burden. She shared that the inhabitants of Oddfield had gathered comprehensive knowledge on the weaknesses of the monsters lurking within, a testament to their survival instincts. For instance, she said, brandishing a handful of kulchai seeds, "These can blind a demon spider." She went on to describe how the blue light of holiness repelled Andreses, among other valuable tidbits she had amassed. Shelley revealed the contents of her backpack to Chrome, showing that she had retrieved her donation to the church to invest in their venture. This gesture made it evident to Chrome how seriously she took their mission. She assured him of her usefulness, especially with her insights into the dungeon's boss. It became clear to Chrome that Shelley was set on joining him, and her knowledge was indeed invaluable for navigating the dungeon. Considering his mana points stood at 54, Chrome calculated that the masquerade spell, which allowed him to maintain his human guise at the cost of 1 mana point every 10 minutes, would last them enough time to reach and defeat the dungeon boss, given their newfound guidance. Conceding that Shelley's preparation and determination presented an advantage rather than a liability, Chrome consented to her company, albeit with the condition that should she prove to be an impediment, he would have no choice but to send her back. Shelley's spirits lifted at his agreement, her face lighting up with joy and relief. Meanwhile, in a dark and foreboding lair, the evil dragon Carnelia received reports of their movements. It was noted that they bore the insignia of the kingdom's knights, yet they seemed to be concealing their true identities, possibly in search of someone or something within the shadows of the Hole of Disaster. She also mentioned they were trying to stay under the radar while searching for a man with red hair. Galad found himself pondering about this red-haired individual, realizing they weren't the target of their search. Carnelia then shared fresh news she had just stumbled upon, revealing that a lone adventurer girl daringly entered the disaster's abyss by herself. Galad's temper flared, a menacing aura surrounding him as he demanded to know if Carnelia had dealt with the intruder. Carnelia, taken aback, confessed she hadn't deemed it necessary. Galad's anger peaked, and in a fit of rage, he rebuked her, reminding Carnelia of his strict directive to bar anyone from entering the abyss of disaster. It could be a knight in adventurer's garb, and we must purge any variable from that place, Galad insisted, deciding to take matters into his own hands and venture into the abyss of disaster himself. He commanded Carnelia to summon all available forces immediately. Emitting a fierce aura, Galad vowed not to let anyone disturb his utopia, promising to make intruders beg for death before offering them to the monster. As they proceeded, 3 demonic spiders ambushed them. Chrome realized the challenge in fending off multiple foes while ensuring Shelley's safety. To his surprise, Shelley lunged at one of the spiders. "I'll take care of this," she declared, ready to hurl something she held tightly. With a swift motion, she tossed kolchai seed powder at the demonic spider. The powder clouded the air, and the spider's glowing red eyes vanished, leaving it disoriented. Chrome noticed the creature's confusion as it charged blindly into a rock, incapacitated. Seizing the moment, Chrome delivered a decisive blow, the spider collapsing as he garnered 78 experience points from the defeat. After dealing with all 3 demonic spiders, Chrome's level rose from 37 to 38. Shelley beamed, pleased with the outcome. Chrome, albeit surprised, admitted he hadn't expected the kolchai seed powder to work so effectively. Shelley hinted at a shortcut. Taking the next left would lead them deeper, eventually reaching the boss of the disaster's abyss. Chrome lamented his prior oversight of not scouting the town for information, recalling the futile effort spent wandering aimlessly for a day. Shelley reasoned that it was unlikely travelers could acquire such a map, no matter how diligently they searched, leaving Chrome to ponder the reason behind such exclusivity. Shelley shared, with a heavy heart, the sacrifices made to create the map they held. It was a testament to the courage and determination of many, kept hidden from the malicious dragons. She pondered the cost in lives for just a fragment of their knowledge. The dragon's dominion over the town, she explained, was fortified by the calamity of the dungeon. Should these dragons discover the existence of such a map, they would surely seize it, stripping the townsfolk of their hope. Shelley conveyed with passion that this map embodied the deepest desires of Oddfield, making it a sensitive subject for those not from the town. Chrome's heart sank as he absorbed the gravity of their losses and the town's fervent wish. Shelley's trust in him, her willingness to share, and even consider gifting him a copy of the map warmed his heart. As Chrome called out to her, Shelley's attention turned to him. He reassured her with confidence that they would indeed conquer the dungeon's peril. Her spirits lifted. She admired his dedication, seeing it as a sign of his genuine kindness. Especially since he initially claimed his visit was merely to enhance his own strength. Their journey took a sudden, dark turn when eerie eyes pierced the gloom. Chrome was taken aback by a grotesque creature, a spider with the face and arms of a human, lurking within its web. It lunged at him with claws sharp and threatening. Chrome managed to parry the blow with his sword, but the creature's formidable strength sent him crashing into a wall. Shelley called out in concern, her voice echoing in the cavernous space. The creature before them was a formidable arachnid, boasting a level 42 status with significant health and mana reserves. Chrome was taken aback. Such monstrous beings were said to dwell only in the deepest recesses of disaster. Shelley informed him it was one of the most powerful beings in the dungeon, second only to the boss. She advised Chrome to maintain proximity to avoid its lethal ranged web attack. Understanding the necessity of a close-quarters battle, Chrome strategized his approach. Shelley pointed out the creature's poor vision near its feet, especially a notable blind spot on its right side. Armed with this knowledge, Chrome moved swiftly, exploiting the vulnerability Shelley had identified. He positioned himself, sword at the ready, and with a decisive strike, he aimed for the creature's right side, severing its limbs in a bold move. Shelley, thinking quickly, grabs a magical stone known for its affinity with fire. She launches it at the beast, inscribed with burning runes. The creature immediately bursts into flames, writhing in agony. Shelley understands that creatures like Arakans can't resist the mesmerizing pull of fire, and despite their formidable limbs, they're surprisingly fragile and easy to sever. Without missing a beat, Chrome dashes towards the aflame monster, his sword poised for a decisive strike. He skillfully slices through one of the creature's limbs, eliciting a howl of pain. Shelley commends Chrome, reminding him that keeping the beast occupied is key. Without the chance to heal or attack, they can whittle it down, ensuring victory through perseverance. Enraged yet weakened, the monster casts a vengeful look at them before collapsing, lifeless, its severed limbs scattered around. Catching her breath, Shelley sighs in relief, believing the ordeal to be over. Chrome, too, breathes easier, admitting he anticipated a tougher challenge but credits their win to their strategic knowledge. Chrome's efforts reward him with a significant boost in experience. His level leaps from 38 to 40, marveling at the swift progress. Now at level 40, Chrome is tantalizingly close to his next evolution, a transformation bringing him ever nearer to his human ideal. Starting as a mere skeleton, he now possesses flesh and blood, a testament to his incredible journey. However, there's no time to dwell on personal achievements. Chrome inquires about their proximity to the boss's lair, hinted to be nearby on their map. Shelley confirms their target, a formidable devil monkey named Oribus, known for its brute strength and diverse abilities, looms close. Despite its fearsome reputation, Shelley is optimistic. She believes in a vulnerability they can exploit, trusting Chrome's ability to confront Oribus without forsaking his human form. Chrome suggested to Shelley that they take a moment to rest before confronting the final boss. Shelley's spirits lifted at the thought. They were on the verge of liberating Oddfield from both the dungeon's calamity and the malevolent dragons. Chrome couldn't help but reflect on the long and arduous journey they'd endured. Now, the end of their nightmare seemed within reach. That evening, at the entrance to the disaster pit, a gathering of figures huddled together. A heavy axe thudded onto the ground, drawing attention. Galad, the chief of the wicked dragons, declared that due to their oversight, a daring adventurer had infiltrated the disaster pit. His followers were incredulous, yet Galad insisted they must eliminate any possibility of her defeating the boss, as it would restore the city's order and displace them from their stronghold. With a daunting presence, Galad vowed to extinguish even the slightest hope of interference, determined to scour the dungeon for the intruder, alive or not. He envisioned a grim spectacle, showcasing the heroine's demise to crush the spirits of the enslaved townsfolk, believing her to be a beacon of hope for many. As they studied the dungeon's blueprint, Shelley pointed out to Chrome the deepest section of the disaster pit, home to the dungeon boss, the demonic monkey Aroba. Chrome pondered that defeating Aroba would ensure the beast's permanent containment within the maze. Despite the challenges, Chrome felt confident, especially with his magic power reserves and the minimal mana requirement for his masquerade ability. Remembering the countless heroes fallen to Monkey Aroba, Chrome valued Shelley's companionship more than ever, believing their chances of victory were significantly improved together. He expressed his gratitude to Shelley for her guidance and inquired about her resolve. Without hesitation, Shelley affirmed her commitment, ready to leverage her agility for tactical advantages. Chrome admired her determination, recognizing no argument could sway her. Shelley was driven by memories of her family and a steadfast resolve to see their mission through, even at the greatest personal cost. Continuing their descent, the duo navigated the dungeon's twisted paths. Suddenly, their journey was interrupted by an unexpected menace. Looming monsters emerged from the shadows. Chrome was acutely aware they were facing the very creature that had terrorized Unveiled. The dungeon boss known as Orobaz, a level 52 nightmare. Shelley, catching sight of the beast, understood the gravity of their challenge. Orobaz, notorious for its devastating speed and lethal claws, had ended many adventurers who dared confront it. Chrome realized a direct confrontation in his human form would spell instant defeat. Shelley confirmed Orobaz's speed was unmatched, yet she revealed a crucial detail. Its agility was limited to straight-line movements, hindered by its disproportionately small feet. This weakness offered them a sliver of hope. Chrome, seizing on this, decided to exploit Orobaz's limited maneuverability by adopting a zigzag approach in his attack. As Chrome dashed in unpredictable patterns, Orobaz pursued with surprising speed, its growls echoing menacingly. Despite its supposed disadvantage, the beast closed in rapidly. Shelley's advice to stay constantly on the move proved invaluable, enabling Chrome to evade the creature's deadly swipes. A direct hit from Orobaz would be disastrous, but Chrome's nimble dodging kept him safe for the moment. Then, Orobaz lunged, its claw aiming to end the battle, but Chrome saw his chance. The beast's attack, though missed, revealed its vulnerability. The legs. With a swift strike, Chrome aimed at this newfound weak spot, only to find Orobaz's skin was nearly as hard as steel. Despite the shallow cut, Shelley was optimistic. A significant injury to its leg would surely impair its speed. Realizing the need for a more powerful blow, Chrome prepared for another strike, gripping his sword with determination. In that moment, Shelley diverted Orobaz's attention, her sword poised for an attack. As she observed the monster's fur, which felt as unyielding as metal, she realized the enormity of their task. Orobaz, now enraged and displaying a fearsome power, struck out wildly, injuring both Chrome and Shelley in its fury. Chrome was thrown to the ground, but Shelley was quick to rally him, understanding the battle was far from over. Chrome reassured everyone that he was okay, tapping into his ability to heal himself. He knew using his healing powers consumed a lot of his magical energy, so he couldn't rely on it too often. He tried to steady his breathing, reminding himself that the injury was within his expectations. His main goal now was to stay one step ahead of Orobaz, avoiding its powerful attacks while hoping Shelley had yet to reveal their ace in the hole, eager for another opportunity to strike. Chrome was well aware that his normal attacks barely scratched Orobaz's formidable hide. He considered using his shape-shifting abilities to fight with his claws, knowing it might give him a slight edge. However, revealing his true nature would surely shock Shelley, possibly ruining their teamwork. But the stakes were high. Without taking a risk, they might not survive. Chrome reflected on his decision to team up with Shelley, realizing he should have been ready for such a moment. Shelley, in the meantime, was locked in a tense standoff with Orobaz, who snarled menacingly at her. Noticing her struggle, Chrome sprang into action, attempting to distract the beast by hurling an object at it, which proved futile. He then targeted Orobaz's tail with a swift slash of his sword, earning a growl and retaliatory strike from the monster. Although the attack did little more than grab its attention, it was a start. Chrome continued his evasive maneuvers, zigzagging to escape Orobaz's pursuit. However, he realized the creature was adapting, closing off any chance of attack. Frustrated, Orobaz unleashed its devil's poison breath, a deadly skill that enveloped the area in a toxic mist, making close combat nearly impossible. Chrome understood that this was Orobaz's response to his persistent dodging. But Chrome and Shelley had anticipated this move. Shelley quickly acted, tossing a small pouch toward Orobaz, which the monster slashed open. The released powder startled the beast, and at Shelley's command, Chrome dropped to the ground, holding his breath. The powder, derived from the toxic parachrome mushroom, caused Orobaz to choke, severely impairing its senses. Seizing the moment, Shelley instructed Chrome to pull back briefly as she prepared to use the spellstone she had mentioned earlier. Chrome watched as Shelley launched the spellstone towards Orobaz, which caught the monster's attention just as it tried to recover from the surprise attack. Oroba's unique tail had the ability to detect the warmth of living beings from every direction. Yet, this remarkable trait had its downside. If something could mimic the heat signature of a living creature, the Oroba would be fooled by it. Shelley noticed its frustration, its senses overwhelmed and agitated to the point of fury. When the Oroba let out a ferocious scream, accompanied by its body's mighty roar, it was clear they had managed to unsettle this formidable beast. From its perspective, a seemingly defenseless creature had dared to come close, exacerbating its already confused state. Spotting a vulnerability on the Oroba, Shelley prepared to strike, aiming directly at the beast's injury. Chrome, meanwhile, doubted her strength to sever its limb merely with her blade. Believing in a subtler approach, Chrome decided to use his teeth, considering it less likely to reveal his true nature to Shelley than if he were to use his claws. With a powerful bite, he targeted the Oroba's wound, eliciting a scream of pain from the creature as Chrome inflicted a significant injury. Retreating, Chrome observed the wound he had made, while Shelley beamed at their success in crippling the Oroba's greatest asset, its speed. Despite the Oroba's strength, their strategic advantage had begun to show. They had managed to neutralize the Oroba's potent breath attack, its senses, and now, its mobility. With confidence, Shelley lifted her sword, and Chrome charged, aiming to sever the Oroba's tail completely. Chrome believed in their relentless attack, understanding that persistence was key to overcoming the creature's resilience. Suddenly, Chrome noticed the Oroba's leg beginning to heal, revealing its regenerative capabilities. Realizing the urgency, Chrome knew they had to finish the fight before the Oroba could fully recover. As Chrome attacked, the Oroba managed to block his sword, counter-attacking with a powerful punch that sent Chrome to his knees. Shelley, concerned, called out to him as he grappled with the beast's unexpected strength. Despite the Oroba's dire state, Chrome refused to accept defeat, motivated by the belief that their loss would extinguish the last flicker of hope for Oddfield. With renewed determination, Chrome charged again, leaping over the Oroba with his sword drawn. Shelley watched, anxious, as Chrome's initial strike seemed to leave the Oroba unscathed. Undeterred, Chrome prepared for another attack, channeling all his strength into a decisive blow that finally penetrated the Oroba's chest. Shelley watched in astonishment as dust enveloped Chrome, who eagerly questioned if their battle had concluded victoriously. The aftermath saw Chrome gaining a substantial 5,687 XP, propelling him from level 40 to 47. Overwhelmed with joy at the unexpected experience gain, Chrome couldn't contain his laughter, reveling in the victory and the end of their arduous battle. Shelley couldn't hold back her tears of joy as she realized they had triumphed over the mastermind behind the calamity. She fell to her knees, overwhelmed with relief, knowing that everyone in Oddfield was now safe from harm. Chrome noticed her tears and understood immediately. "It hit me all at once," she confessed. "The moment I knew it was finally over." Shelley had feared her efforts to take down Orobas would be her last. She believed she wouldn't have stood a chance against such a foe without Chrome's intervention, nor would her family have survived. Chrome, filled with a profound sense of gratitude, shared his feelings with Shelley, amazed at their victory. With the dungeon now cleared, he proposed sending knights to purge the realm of the malevolent dragons. As he healed his wounded arm, a surge of regeneration magic flowed through him. He momentarily panicked, realizing he hadn't checked his magical energy reserves. Running out now would certainly spoil their victory celebration. Peeking at his remaining magic, Chrome was relieved to see just enough left to avoid revealing his monstrous nature, a secret he guarded closely. With a shy smile, Chrome revealed he was nearing another evolution, just 3 levels away. In their world, evolving allowed a monster to inch closer to their true essence, possibly mirroring their innermost wishes. Shelley, curious about his sudden joy, prompted him to share. "I've gained so much from this adventure," he beamed. Shelley shared her own progress, having ascended from level 19 to 28, excited to surprise their friends Guido and Frank with her new strength. She then apologized to Chrome, feeling guilty for taking a share of the experience despite her limited combat skills. Chrome quickly reassured her, insisting her contributions were invaluable. Amidst their conversation, Shelley's guard dropped as she relaxed, only to remind Chrome of the dangers that still lay ahead on their journey back. She proposed reporting their success to the capital to organize the expulsion of the remaining evil dragons. As fatigue began to set in, Chrome suggested a brief rest before securing the boss's magical stone. Shelley agreed but was abruptly cut off when she noticed a looming threat. Reacting instantly, she protected Chrome from a sudden blaze. Knocked to the ground, Chrome called out to her in panic, spotting two figures advancing on them. "Why? Why are there so many evil dragons in this dungeon?" he demanded. Stepping forward from the shadows was Galad, the notorious leader of the evil dragons. Shelley trembled at the sight of him, realizing the gravity of their situation. Chrome couldn't help but question his own humanity, considering his formidable stature. It was Jeff, burning with a desire to end their lives. Shelley, with unyielding determination, declared their tyranny at an end, following their victory over the Urubas. She urged the villains to flee before the city's knights arrived. However, their taunts came harshly, ridiculing Shelley and Chrome for their confidence, especially after defeating demons far stronger than any knight. A feat they claimed Galad could have easily accomplished himself. Shelley countered, emphasizing the immense sacrifices required to vanquish such a beast, a fact the villain dismissively attributed to their own actions against the knights and their deceit involving a counterfeit map and an ambush amidst monster battles. The adversary bragged about their heinous acts against the knights and the desecration of women, enraging Chrome with their vile boasts. Galad clarified a crucial misunderstanding. They had no intention of abandoning Oddfield. He outlined a sinister plan to maintain control through fear, occasional monster releases, and even manufacturing their own atrocities to solidify their rule. Galad's declaration of their efforts as merely an inconvenience to his grand scheme of domination left Shelley in disbelief. He commanded his men to capture Chrome and Shelley, subjecting them to brutal torture before feeding them alive to monsters, all for daring to challenge his authority. Chrome realized the grim reality: neither he nor Shelley had the strength to continue fighting. With his health and magic power dwindling, Chrome reflected on their dire situation, acknowledging their role in the recent turmoil and the seemingly insurmountable challenge of defeating the dungeon's overseer. Chrome, facing Shelley's apology for dragging him into this hopeless fight for Oddfield, found a renewed sense of resolve. Reflecting on his journey from being considered worthless to becoming a determined adventurer, he refused to surrender to despair. Despite his trials and transformations, Chrome's spirit remained unbroken. Faced with bandits and nearing defeat, he clenched his fists, unwilling to give up. This moment of adversity wasn't the end, but another challenge to overcome. A testament to his relentless will to persevere, fight, and reclaim his humanity, no matter the odds. Chrome couldn't shake the feeling that he had already faced death once before, and he wasn't about to let fear hold him back now. Shelley, tears streaming down her face, shouted out to Chrome, breaking his contemplation. Chrome felt a pang of guilt for letting his guard down, especially when Shelley took a hit meant for him. It was time he stepped up to protect her. Their adversary, sneering with disdain, lunged forward, unleashing a powerful attack. Chrome, with newfound resolve, parried the striker with his sword, but the man's scorn didn't wane as he landed a blow on Chrome's body. Shelley, struggling to rise, kept her thoughts on Chrome, while Jeff, emboldened and malicious, raised his sword high. He proclaimed his intent to kill them and then turn his wrath upon the innocent children in the church. Chrome's anger flared at Jeff's threat, but it was Shelley's glance that reignited his determination. Jeff's vile words continued, suggesting they torment the elderly priest to the brink of despair. Shelley, from the ground, offered a silent apology to the priest and the others present. Chrome, gripping his sword tightly, engaged Jeff once more, their blades clashing. Suddenly, arrows flew towards Chrome, striking him and causing his blood to scatter. Jeff taunted him, relishing the thought of offering them up to a monstrous fate alive. However, an unexpected twist occurred as a monstrous claw deflected Jeff's sword, leaving him stunned and questioning Chrome's capabilities. With a powerful punch, Chrome sent Jeff sprawling to the ground. Shelley, watching the scene unfold, was baffled. She had never known Chrome to possess such monstrous strength or a healing ability. The sight of his arm sent a wave of unease through her. Galad, observing the turn of events, found the situation intriguing. Chrome, undeterred, removed the arrows from his body, reflecting on Shelley's earlier kindness. Her naive trust in him, a stranger, had given him the strength to escape the dungeon and face his fears. Their reunion in Unveiled had been a turning point for him, and her pursuit when he fled had touched him deeply. Now, facing her, Chrome worried about her reaction to his true form, fearing it might feel like a betrayal. But there was no time for doubts. Chrome stood firm, challenging their foes who hesitated, sensing the shift in power. The man, defiant to the end, vowed to send Chrome to his doom, raising his sword for another attack. Chrome's response was fearless, ready to confront whatever came next, determined to protect Shelley and the others, no matter the cost. In a moment of desperation, Chrome activated his hidden ability, the masquerade skill. His adversary, charging at him with lethal intent, was abruptly bisected, his upper body tumbling to the ground. Chrome, absorbing the aftermath, found himself 567 XP richer. Jeff watched in disbelief as Chrome transformed into a fearsome beast, a sight far beyond the realms of any ordinary skill. For Chrome, taking a life was a new experience, yet it felt eerily instinctive. Perhaps it was the adrenaline, the survival instinct, or maybe it was the monster within embracing its nature. The realization dawned on them all. Capturing this creature alive was no longer an option. They had to eliminate the threat it posed. Shelley, still piecing together the truth about Chrome's true identity, felt a mix of shock and betrayal. Chrome, now Chrome in his monstrous form, regretted deceiving her even as he fled. Despite her possible misconceptions about him, Chrome was determined to halt their assailants. As Chrome charged at his foes, arrows launched in his direction were effortlessly deflected off his formidable hide. His adversaries quickly learned that their ranged weapons were futile against such a beast, resorting to their swords in desperation. Chrome seized this moment to activate his regeneration ability, fully aware that a direct sword hit could still spell doom. Despite his enhanced strength and deadly claws, Chrome understood the gravity of his situation. Yet, he also recognized the fear his monstrous appearance instilled in his enemies, a fear he intended to use to his advantage. When one attacker leaped towards him, Chrome's defensive move not only blocked the assault but also revealed the fear in his opponent's eyes. Seizing the opportunity, Chrome's roar and aggressive posture caused the man to falter. In a swift series of movements, Chrome disarmed one man and decapitated another. His raw power was undeniable as he punched another assailant so hard that the man's face was driven into the ground, earning Chrome additional XP and bringing his level from 47 to 48. Galad, observing from afar, grew increasingly frustrated as Chrome's strength seemed to surge with each passing moment. The tide of battle was turning. The men's fear and confusion were palpable, their fighting spirit waning. They sensed that Chrome, despite appearing cornered, had resolved to fight with everything he had, aiming to take down as many of them as possible in a desperate bid for survival. The tension escalated as the battlefield became a whirlwind of chaos around Chrome. Faced with a new onslaught of foes, Chrome realized the gravity of the situation. With numerous enemies swarming him, he had to stay sharp and agile. Skillfully, he maneuvered around their attacks, dodging one adversary after another. Amidst the fray, one of the attackers hesitated, realizing he couldn't open fire without risking hitting his own comrades. As Chrome contended with the attackers up close, he noticed the ranged opponents positioning themselves for a shot. Quickly, he strategized, using his attackers as shields against the potential gunfire, a move that did not go unnoticed. The woman, observing the scene, acknowledged Chrome's cunning, seeing through his tactic to use the enemy's numbers against them. The melee intensified, Chrome aware that these opponents were a significant step up from those he'd faced earlier. With enemy mages also taking aim, he felt the pressure mounting, recognizing his physical limits were being tested. Yet, in the heat of battle, Chrome's resolve hardened. With a decisive blow, he knocked down an assailant, his experience points ticking up. Suddenly, a sharp pain. An enemy blade found its mark in Chrome's stomach. But even as his foes sensed victory, Chrome unleashed the ferocity of his claws, turning the tables with a swift, lethal counter. The sight of Chrome's counterattack sent a shockwave through the battlefield. Amidst the chaos, a misplaced fire attack from one of the mages resulted in friendly fire. Further chaos ensued, leading to Chrome gaining a significant boost in experience and leveling up amidst the pandemonium. As Chrome extracted the sword from his wound, he quickly dispatched another foe. His eyes then set on Galad, the renowned monster of Oddfield. Chrome pondered the significance of taking down such a formidable opponent, considering the potential to dismantle the enemy's morale and drive them from the city. Galad, aware of Chrome's gaze, stepped forward, ready to prove who the true monster of Oddfield was. As they engaged, Chrome narrowly avoided a deadly axe strike from Galad, the close call sending a surge of adrenaline through him. Despite Galrad's higher level and the daunting challenge he posed, Chrome was determined not to back down. The standoff between Chrome and Galad was more than a clash of power. It was a test to see who truly deserved the title of monster. As Galad prepared for another attack, Chrome braced himself, understanding the high stakes of this duel. In this moment, the fate of Oddfield hung in the balance, with each combatant vying to emerge as the victor in this monstrous confrontation. Chrome knew he needed a game-changer to shift the balance in his favor. Eliminating Galrad's axe would erase the disadvantage of reach, and Chrome's natural claws would then give him the upper hand. Tapping into his last reserves of mana, Chrome healed his left arm, restoring it to pristine condition. Galad taunted him, amused by his resilience. But when Galrad's axe struck Chrome's arm, and Chrome halted it with sheer force, Galrad's smirk faded to surprise. Seizing the moment, Chrome lunged at Galad, who thought he had evaded the attack, only to find Chrome biting down on his axe handle, wrenching it from his grasp. With the axe now in his possession, Chrome saw his opening to end the fight. However, Chrome was running dangerously low on energy. He couldn't afford to let Galad recover or call for backup. He had to finish him now. But Galad, unfazed, activated his purple crystallization skill, armoring himself in a shell of hard crystals and launching a powerful punch that sent Chrome flying. Admiring his crystalline defense, Galad taunted Chrome, declaring his superiority even without his weapon. Chrome internally cried foul, realizing Galad could enhance his defense and offense with those crystals at will. How could he penetrate such a formidable barrier? As Chrome lay on the ground, contemplating his next move, Galad relished the thought of instilling fear into him. Galrad's past, marked by hardship and abuse, flashed before him. The day he first unlocked his skill, he believed it was divine intervention. A chance to escape the cycle of violence and fear at home. Yet, the same power that saved him branded him a monster in his mother's eyes. A label that drove him to embrace his dark nature fully. With his mana depleted, Chrome felt the weight of defeat. But then, a glimmer of hope appeared. A sword within reach. Grabbing it, Chrome dodged Galrad's next attack, sword in hand, ready to face his adversary once more. Galad sneered, believing Chrome was on the brink of defeat, and taunted, "What good will that sword do you now?" Encouraging his leader to finish Chrome off, Chrome made a surprising move by throwing his sword. Galra swiftly dodged, mocking Chrome's poor aim. Yet, Chrome's true target was not Galra. His sword was aimed at Jeff, striking him unexpectedly. Jeff fell, granting Chrome a crucial 101 XP which pushed him from level 49 to 50. Galra dismissed the move as a desperate flail, unable to see its true purpose. With this newfound level, Chrome was presented with the opportunity to evolve. Evolution for a monster meant a step closer to its ultimate form. However, in Chrome's heart, there was no desire to become more human-like. His only wish was for the strength to defeat Galad and protect Shelly, along with the entire town of Oddfield. Resolved to accept any form, however monstrous, if it granted him the power he sought, Chrome began his transformation in front of a bewildered Galad. As Chrome evolved, he became a doppelganger, a creature of nightmares capable of driving its victims mad with illusions and stealing their identities. This new form gave him access to terrifying abilities: regeneration, masquerade, phantom, and dream eater. Galrod, now facing this evolved being, was filled with irritation and disbelief. Undeterred, Galrod launched an attack, but Chrome, now more powerful, effortlessly stopped his fist. Utilizing his Dream Eater ability, Chrome inflicted a deep wound in Galrod's stomach, draining his mana and causing a sensation of dread and confusion to swirl within him. With the stolen mana, Chrome healed himself, feeling invincible. Galrod, now truly fearing the creature before him, commanded his minions to attack. One shot an arrow while another cast a spell of fire. Chrome, confident in his new abilities, prepared to defend himself. His 4 hands raised, eyes opening on his palms, he unleashed his phantom skill. This ability manipulated illusions to control others, becoming more potent with the fear of its victims. Despite taking damage from the arrow and fire, the lady believed she had triumphed, yet Chrome emerged, shrouded in a fearsome aura that widened her eyes in shock. It was Galrod who had been struck by an arrow and erupted in fury. The woman, shaking, tried to grasp the unfolding events. Galrod, visibly irritated, demanded to know their target. Chrome, with renewed vigor, unleashed his claws, slashing at Galrod. This intervention allowed Chrome to recover his energy and prevent the henchman from further interference. It seemed this would mark Galrod's downfall. Yet, Galrod, taking offense at being underestimated, especially as the terror of Oddfield, attempted to retaliate with his crystallized fist, only for Chrome to catch his arm effortlessly. Galrod speculated that the eerie glow emanating from Chrome was some form of illusion technique designed to incite fear, but he was convinced he could withstand it by stealing his mind. However, when Chrome deployed his phantom skill once more, Galrod was taken aback by visions of his deceased father accusing him of murder, causing him to lash out in panic. The illusion shifted disturbingly, revealing his mother on the day he had killed her, further plunging Galrod into confusion and fear. The surroundings morphed eerily as he confronted more phantoms, one of which, mimicking his father, threatened dire retribution. In reality, Chrome had already overpowered him, leaving Galrod defeated and bleeding out on the ground. This victory against the dragon boss netted Chrome a significant experience boost, propelling his level from 50 to 51. This battle heralded his third evolution, the doppelganger, endowing him with immense power and 2 new skills: Phantom and Dream Eater. These abilities not only allowed Chrome to manipulate his foes' fears through illusions, but also to siphon their memories and mana. As Chrome pondered his newfound powers, the woman called out to Galrod, mistakenly thinking the battle was still theirs to win. However, facing Chrome's overpowering presence, their hope disintegrated. Chrome's shout sent them fleeing in terror. The heart of the chaos, Orobas, has been vanquished. The malevolent dragon's leader lies defeated, their ranks shattered. With their head gone, Chrome doubts they could ever orchestrate such havoc on the knights Galrad warned of. Together, Chrome and Shelley have brought peace to ODF, hopeful that the children can now live without fear. Chrome catches a glimpse of Shelley, noticing the terror in her eyes. He realizes she must be grappling with the revelation that her fellow adventurer is not entirely human. Silently, Chrome steps away, pondering over Shelley's shock. It was inevitable she'd be stunned, yet he finds some solace in this. Having already exposed his monstrous side in town, remaining in Oddfield isn't an option. Chrome reflects on how disbelief might have been Shelley's first reaction if rumors were all she had, potentially leading her to seek him out again. Thus, letting Shelley see the truth with her own eyes was perhaps for the best, he concludes. Chrome admits to himself that avoiding society extends beyond Oddfield. He contemplates whether this is his way of fleeing, recognizing that, though he walks among the living, he feels akin to a ghost, forever barred from the human life. Encounters with his sister would inevitably lead to this revelation. Chrome doesn't see himself as a tragic hero, despite once being frail, for he has saved an entire city. Shelley, with a mix of courage and determination, stands up, biting her lip. Chrome feels her embrace from behind, taken aback by her sudden gesture. Shelley's apology breaks through the silence. Her confusion was overwhelming, yet she couldn't ignore Chrome's solitude. Her embrace was a gesture of solidarity in the face of her own fear and the pounding of her heart, facing the unknown. Listening to Shelley's heartfelt words, Chrome is moved by her understanding and resolve. Shelley sees the nobility in Chrome's actions, his risk in revealing his true nature, all for the sake of the town. She vows to support him, to ensure he can remain in the town, or at the very least, to never leave his side, understanding the solitude he faced in hiding his true self, yet still choosing to confront danger alongside her for the greater good. Suddenly, Shelley's legs gave way beneath her. Chrome was quick to catch her in his arms. She had overexerted herself, her voice barely a whisper as she apologized, saying she was just a bit weary. Chrome noticed her eyes flutter shut. She was injured and utterly spent. Yet, she had found the strength to stand and offer him words of encouragement. Chrome felt a wave of gratitude towards Shelley. In his heart, though, he wished she wouldn't be so close to someone like him. A creature of shadows and fears. Shelley's innocence and her belief in his acceptance by the townsfolk touched him deeply. Yet Chrome worried that her association with him could bring her danger and trouble. As he pondered, Chrome's hand lifted almost of its own accord. He remembered the power of Dream Eater, a mystical ability that allowed one to delve into and alter others' memories. The thought crossed his mind to erase all memory of himself from Shelley's mind, to protect her. But then, her encouraging words echoed in his mind, bringing a smile to his face. When Shelley regained consciousness, she found herself surrounded by concerned faces asking her what had occurred. Disoriented, she inquired about her whereabouts. A man explained that a monstrous roar had been heard outside the town, and they found her shortly after. Shelley's memory came rushing back. The descent into the disaster, the battle against Oribes, the attack by the evil dragons. But one question lingered on her lips. "Where's Chrome, the man with the white skin?" The man's reply sank her heart. She was the only one found. Chrome realized then that he couldn't bring himself to erase her memories. 2 days later, the disaster area was reported cleared, stirring astonishment at the defeat of the devil monkey. The town breathed a sigh of relief, free from the fear of monsters. The announcement of a new feudal lord's arrival was made, alongside plans to celebrate annually the day Shelley, now hailed as a hero, defeated the devil monkey. Though Shelley humbly suggested her presence was merely coincidental, the town was abuzz with the news of the disaster's boss being vanquished. Though not an immediate end to all threats, it marked a significant turn towards peace for Oddfield. As the evil dragons retreated and the town edged towards tranquility, Shelley couldn't help but attribute it all to Chrome. Her thoughts filled with concern and wonder about his whereabouts. Chrome had become a beacon of hope, the hero who had freed them from their darkest hour. Meanwhile, someone's gaze was fixed on a warning poster pinned to the wall. "Aren't you going to join us for a drink?" they were asked, but they declined. The person remarked that they were celebrating a new hero, yet there they were, absorbed in the poster as if it held all the secrets of the universe. It depicted a monster that had terrorized the town, harming a child, a creature capable of mimicking human form and speech. Despite the dungeon being cleared, a sense of unease lingered, as safety was still not guaranteed. Shelley approached, questioning if the hooded figure was Chrome. Upon removing his hood, another man's face was revealed, prompting Shelley to apologize for her mistake, explaining he bore a resemblance to someone dear to her. Suddenly, the stranger's hand ignited with a mysterious glow. It was indeed Chrome, utilizing his phantom ability to conceal his true identity, as he couldn't afford to be recognized as the monster known to many. He thanked Shelley for her past acceptance, which had given him the courage to face Kamya once again. Following his evolution, Chrome discovered his magical prowess had significantly increased, aligning more with a spellcaster's abilities than those of a mere shapeshifter. His masquerade spell, requiring minimal magical power to maintain his disguise, allowed him to blend in for more than a day. Should his secret ever be at risk, he could always rely on Phantom for a new disguise, or Dream Eater to erase any problematic memories. Confident in his abilities, Chrome decided it was time to return to his hometown of Rockat. Elsewhere, two individuals were deep in conversation. One inquired if the other had the means to manage the dungeon calamity. Affirmatively, the man explained that the Claws of Devon, an alchemical research collective, had been delving into the dungeon's mysteries for generations. Curious, Mizdo questioned why such a figure would approach a modest lord rather than the royal family. The visitor argued that Mizdo understood the value of supporting a cause with far-reaching implications. He lamented the transient nature of heroism, predicting that, despite any achievements, society's gratitude would eventually fade, and those who once served valiantly would be cast aside, or worse. With their knowledge, they could orchestrate events from behind the scenes, he suggested, envisioning a world under their subtle command. They must wield significant clout to kickstart their ambitions. Therefore, he suggested to Misto that they crown him as the ruler of the world, with the forces of Devon at his beck and call for this mission. Misto remarked that Asher was indeed a fascinating figure. You have the might to rescue everyone, yet you choose to tread the path of the devil, not a deity, Misto observed. Asher countered, arguing the line between gods and devils is thinner than one might think, as it's the gods who dictate the world's rules, regardless of their actions' nature. He further explained that to claim they could wield control over calamities was a stretch. Such endeavors require thorough preparation and a vast supply of tainted mana, which varies with the abyss's condition. Misto acknowledged Asher's potential, agreeing to support him once he proved his value. Asher detailed their first target. The city of Hadwin, plowed by several trade complications, overshadowed by the larger, wealthier northern city of Rockat. Should a cataclysmic event befall Rockat, all trade and wealth would naturally divert to Hadwin, Asher outlined. They were already deep into their preparations, ready to showcase their capabilities soon. Misto expressed his eagerness to see the results. Under the night's luminescent crescent moon, a level 16 beast known as Third Eye roared menacingly. Chrome thought this creature would be the perfect challenge to hone his skills. As the beast lunged at him, Chrome nimbly evaded its assault. His hand, ending in a sharp claw, seemed to act of its own accord. When the beast materialized suddenly before him, Chrome deployed his Soul Eater ability. The beast let out an enraged howl. Anticipating its next move, Chrome swiftly delivered a decisive blow to its head. He knew the Soul Eater skill allowed him to siphon both mana and memories from his adversary, potentially disorienting them in combat. However, he realized the difficulty in exploiting this against a level 16 creature. Manipulating memories was a tactic best saved for after securing victory, as its execution amidst battle proved challenging. Against swift foes, his best strategy was to drain a small amount of their mana. Chrome then decisively defeated the monster, earning 3 experience points. Despite understanding that the experience gain diminishes with the level gap, Chrome couldn't help but question his progress, wondering if he would ever grow stronger. Chrome eyed the fallen creature with a mix of curiosity and concern, its form unfamiliar and its power unsettlingly high for the area's usual standards. He couldn't shake the feeling that this could be a bad sign. After ensuring the beast was no longer a threat, Chrome decided to make the most of the situation, cooking and consuming his vanquished foe. Looking towards the horizon, he could almost see the outlines of Rockat, the place he called home. He pondered on his ability to sustain the masquerade, the magical disguise allowing him to appear human, by siphoning mana from such beasts. Staying human was not just a matter of convenience or avoiding panic among the townsfolk. Remaining in his true form too long affected his psyche in ways he disliked. Firmly, Chrome focused on the thought of his sister, promising silently that he'd be home soon. In a tavern, the sound of a mug slamming against a table cut through the chatter. A man attempted to pacify his companion, suggesting that the difficulty in recruiting new members was to be expected, but frustration boiled over. The man was convinced they were being deliberately avoided. Enter Kamya, her voice cutting through the tension as she confronted them about her brother's last known venture into the dungeon with them. Arthur's response was defensive, demanding to know what she was insinuating. Kamya was direct, accusing them of abandoning her brother, Chrome, to fend for himself in the depths of the dungeon during their hasty retreat. Arthur, his anger mounting, turned the accusation back on Kamya, suggesting that it was her spread of rumors that made them pariahs. The argument escalated, with Arthur becoming visibly shaken and aggressive, particularly when his actions since the incident were questioned. In a fit of rage, he denied any wrongdoing, insisting that their survival had necessitated the tough decision, and refused to bear the blame for Chrome's fate or accept the label of a murderer. Yet, the image of Kamya's accusatory gaze haunted him, fueling his anger and determination not to forgive her for tarnishing their reputation. Elsewhere, a woman's excited pace brought her face to face with Fenrir, a dungeon boss exuding a threatening presence. The fearsome dungeon creature halted in its tracks, a low growl escaping its throat. It seemed taken aback by the item the woman presented, an item that clearly bore the mark of its master. The fury in its eyes dimmed, replaced by a flicker of recognition. "This represents the command of your master," the woman stated confidently, understanding the power the item wielded over the beast. She explained that the creature had duties to fulfill on behalf of their master, urging it to follow her lead. "We're heading to Rockat," she declared, indicating their new destination with authority. Meanwhile, Chrome wandered the streets at night, reflecting on the long time since he last saw his home. His heart was full of empathy, and he felt a certain security in his abilities, especially his skill in illusions, which could easily get him out of any trouble with the guards. His main concern was reuniting with his younger sister, to assure her of his survival. "Everything will be all right," he reassured himself, feeling there was no reason to arouse suspicion. As he moved through the night, Chrome noticed a man casting an annoyed glance his way, but he paid it little mind. Elsewhere, Kamya was immersed in her own world, honing her craft. The room was her sanctuary, where she practiced her ice magic, specifically a spell she called Ice Create. Her goal was precision and speed, a testament to her dedication. Chrome couldn't help but peek at Kamya, practicing diligently into the night. Typical Kamya, he thought, admiring her commitment. Yet, he pondered how he could possibly reveal himself to her after such a long absence. The thought of explaining his situation, only to part ways again, filled him with sudden anxiety. Kamya, meanwhile, was lost in her practice, unaware of her brother's presence. Chrome observed her from afar, noting her focus and determination. Seeing her so engrossed in her magic, he questioned the necessity of making his presence known. Just knowing she was doing well seemed sufficient. However, as Kamya shaped intricate figures out of ice and sighed in contentment, Chrome spotted something familiar. A dagger he recognized as the one he'd left for her. Clutching the dagger close, Kamya expressed a heartfelt wish for her brother to wait for her, vowing to find him someday. Hearing this, Chrome couldn't hold back any longer. He burst into her room, calling out her name. Kamya, startled, instinctively drew the dagger on the intruder. Yet, as her eyes adjusted and recognition dawned, she was overwhelmed to see her brother truly alive before her. Chrome found himself at a loss for words. Kamya, visibly upset, questioned why Chrome had suddenly vanished and hadn't reached out to her sooner. She vented her frustration about how Chrome always seemed to find himself in perilous situations, despite his vulnerabilities, causing her endless worry. Mid-rant, Kamya paused, realizing there were so many other things she wished to express instead. Chrome, acknowledging her concerns, apologized, admitting she was right to worry. Kamya, battling with her feelings of guilt, was visibly moved when Chrome gently reassured her, acknowledging her fears and her relentless search for him. Tears welled up in her eyes as she admitted to Chrome how concerned she had been. Chrome felt a deep connection to Kamya's worry, knowing too well the lengths she went to find him. He attempted to soothe her, explaining he had to depart once more. Kamya, puzzled and saddened, questioned why he must leave again so soon after his return. Chrome struggled to convey the complexity of his situation, hinting at his transformation into something other than human, fearing the potential danger his presence could bring her. He speculated about the nature of his evolution, hinting at a sliver of hope that he might return to a human form, considering his gradual transformation each time he evolved. Chrome reflected on his initial belief that he lacked the skills for adventuring and considered giving up. Yet the memory of Kamya's tears over their parents' demise fueled his resolve. He assured Kamya, with newfound determination, that he would become a hero, not just for her but to prevent such tragedies from befalling anyone else. Each evolution made him stronger, and Chrome believed that even if he reverted to his human form, he would emerge immensely powerful. Cursing the twist of fate that made him undead, Chrome nonetheless recognized his growth and potential for further strength. As he stood up, touching the table, he apologized to Kamya, promising to return once he felt strong enough to protect her. Kamya, not ready to let him go, pleaded with him to wait. She rushed to the door in hopes of catching him, but Chrome had already set off on his next journey, leaving Kamya behind with her concerns and the promise of his eventual return. Kamya's eyes filled with tears as she realized Chrome had vanished into thin air. Her heart ached, believing Chrome to be far too reckless for his own good, always charging ahead alone. She couldn't help but cry out, pleading with her brother not to cause her so much worry. As Chrome glanced back, a wave of gratitude washed over him. He was relieved that Kamya was safe. Her determination to find him in the dungeon wouldn't put her in harm's way any longer. Suddenly, Chrome bumped into someone. He quickly muttered an apology, explaining he was distracted by his thoughts. The man, Arthur, was visibly irritated and snapped at him, questioning his attentiveness. Chrome's eyes widened in shock upon recognizing him, haunted by the memory of Arthur abandoning him to fate's cruel whims. Chrome called out to Arthur, who was taken aback, having assumed Chrome was long gone. That evening, at Rokkat's southern watchtower, a guard was jolted awake by a peculiar noise. Rubbing his eyes, he checked the large mana sensor, puzzled by the unexpected alert. Peering out the window, his confusion turned to alarm at the sight of a horde of monsters approaching. The dungeon boss, Fenrir, loomed large among them, radiating a threatening presence. The guard knew this spelled disaster for Rockat and was about to raise the alarm when a woman's smirk caught his attention. In a shocking twist inside the watchtower, the guard, Kevin, acted decisively, plunging his weapon into the woman's abdomen. As she coughed up blood and staggered, her reaction was one of mock indignation, chiding Kevin for his ruthless action. Despite his efforts, Kevin realized with dread that his attacks seemed futile. She was on an entirely different level. Urging her aside, Kevin stressed the urgency of warning the townspeople about the imminent monster invasion. The woman, smirking, revealed her sinister role in the chaos, admitting she was the orchestrator behind the monster horde. Kevin's disbelief turned to horror at her confession. As she brandished her weapon, taunting him, Kevin understood the grave situation he was in, caught between the need to save his town and facing a formidable foe. Kevin fought to keep his cool as he launched attack after attack, convincing himself that victory was within reach due to his superior skills. Protecting the people is my duty, he reminded himself, gripping his weapon with determination. Failure is not an option. The woman facing him merely flashed a mocking grin. As Kevin lunged forward, she nimbly leaped away, avoiding his strike effortlessly. Kevin pursued, only to feel a sharp pain across his back as she slashed him with precision. Stunned by her agility, Kevin wondered how his attacks had ever landed. He crumbled to the ground, her laughter ringing in his ears. "A little pain makes the game more fun," she taunted, reveling in his dashed hopes. She questioned Kevin about the city's defense plans against a potential monster invasion from the south, clearly intending to dismantle their efforts as she had with him. Kevin, however, kept silent, refusing to aid her schemes. Unperturbed, she drove her weapon into his back again, eliciting a pained declaration from Kevin that he didn't want to die. Her smile turned sinister as she used her healing powers on him, puzzling Kevin with her actions. Why heal an enemy, he thought, while she probed him for information about the city's defenses. Despite the agony and the repeated cycle of injury and healing, Kevin's resolve only hardened. He refused to divulge any information, driven by a duty to protect his city. The woman, frustrated by his steadfastness, eventually dismissed him as boring and walked away. Left alone and severely injured, Kevin's thoughts turned to a desperate hope that his final message would reach someone, anyone, to defend their home. Meanwhile, Arthur was grappling with his own disbelief. He had been certain that Chrome had met his end at the jaws of a bugbear, yet here he was, standing unharmed. Chrome himself was considering the complications of his unexpected encounter, pondering the use of his illusion skills to alter his appearance. However, the high cost in magic points for maintaining such a disguise made it impractical for constant use. Chrome couldn't help but wish he'd been more cautious, avoiding any run-ins with familiar faces. Suddenly, it dawned on Arthur that Chrome might have survived their last encounter thanks to his unique ability to revive. Arthur found it hard to believe. Even if Chrome had somehow survived, escaping the dungeon on his own seemed impossible. Furthermore, Arthur hadn't laid eyes on Chrome until today. Despite the circumstances, Chrome felt Arthur was the last person who should hold any grievances against him. Observing Arthur more closely, Chrome noted something off about him. Arthur's gaze seemed unfocused, shadowed by dark circles under his eyes, his cheeks hollowed. Chrome wondered if Arthur was under the influence of something harmful. Tension spiked as Arthur unsheathed his sword, discarding its sheath, catching Chrome off guard. Arthur, with sword in hand, accused Chrome of returning as a monster, seeking vengeance for being left to fend off bugbears. Chrome tried to clear the misunderstanding, but Arthur seemed convinced of Chrome's alleged resentment towards him. With the situation escalating, Chrome realized they needed to resolve this dispute swiftly and silently, aware that onlookers might soon be drawn to the commotion. Arthur, drenched in sweat, braced himself, mistakenly believing Chrome was about to strike him down. He vowed to defeat Chrome, dismissing him as a skillless burden despite his monstrous transformation. Chrome saw that Arthur was not in his right mind, presenting a level of hostility he hadn't encountered before. Of all the potential confrontations, Arthur was indeed the least desirable. As Arthur struggled to match Chrome's speed, Chrome, opting for a non-lethal approach, struck Arthur in the abdomen with the butt of his sword, forcing him to his knees. Arthur, bewildered, questioned how Chrome, previously deemed the eternal underdog, now outclassed him in both speed and strength. Even after being subdued, Arthur luffed, rising to his feet, unable to accept defeat in such a manner. He reminisced about the time he was convinced Chrome had met his end, yet here Chrome stood, very much alive and stronger than ever. Arthur's confusion and disbelief filled the air as Chrome remained silent, contemplating their fraught history and the peculiar turn of events. Arthur, engulfed in his fiery aura, charged at Chrome with a warning. "Even if you manage to block my blade, my flames will consume you," he declared. Chrome narrowly avoided Arthur's fiery onslaught, countering with a swift kick that sent Arthur tumbling to the ground, his sword skittering away. "Calm yourself," Chrome advised, his tone firm yet gentle. "Remember, I'm human, just like you. I hope our paths never cross again." But Arthur, fear evident in his eyes, accused Chrome of deception. "You're lying. You're just waiting for a chance to devour me." Clearly, Arthur was beyond reason, trembling with unfounded fear. Realizing argument was futile, Chrome concluded he'd need to use his skills to disengage without harm. Meanwhile, a sinister presence loomed over the town. Monsters, the same that had ravaged Rockat a decade ago, were closing in. The city's defenders readied themselves, but Chrome's focus was diverted by a distant roar, a haunting reminder of that devastating day. Arthur, too, heard the ominous sounds, jumping to conclusions. "You've brought them here, haven't you?" he accused, panic-stricken. Chrome knew he couldn't delay any longer. He decided to cast an illusion to render Arthur unconscious and out of harm's way. Just then, a woman rushed by, startling Chrome. Arthur, seizing the opportunity, attempted to recruit her against Chrome, claiming the latter was responsible for the monster horde. Chrome, trying to defuse the situation, sensed an alarming aura emanating from the woman. His intuition screamed danger, yet an inexplicable pull drew him towards her. He urged Arthur to stay back, sensing something amiss about her demeanor. Ignoring Chrome, Arthur faced the woman, only to be betrayed by her swift strike. As Arthur reeled in confusion, the woman revealed her true intentions. She had been the one to lead the monsters to their doorstep, acting under mysterious orders to deliver someone's blood to the heart of the town. With no time to waste on further distractions, she raised her sword, ready to eliminate any obstacles in her path. Arthur lay trembling on the ground, fear etched across his face. Suddenly, the attack halted. Chrome intervened, stopping her assault cold. The woman looked at him, puzzled by the sudden shift in dynamics. Moments ago, they were adversaries. "Just because we're at odds doesn't mean I can ignore your attempt on Arthur's life," Chrome declared. His gaze fixed on her, intense and unwavering. He suspected she held secrets about the mysterious creatures plaguing the town, and he was determined to uncover them. She sneered in response, dismissing him as yet another bold fool. She admitted her rush, taunting that under different circumstances, she'd relish the opportunity to dismantle him piece by piece. Chrome quickly countered, his concern for the town's southern quarter, now under monster siege, fueling his resolve. "I have no time to waste on you," he stated firmly. "We're both in a hurry, it seems." With that, the woman lunged at Chrome, her attack sharp and fierce, proclaiming she couldn't allow him to interfere. Meanwhile, Arthur, witnessing this, was consumed by confusion and disbelief. He couldn't fathom Chrome's actions. In his mind, Chrome had perished long ago. Arthur recalled a desperate moment when he believed he had ended Chrome's life to escape a dire situation. The rumors of the dead transformed into vengeful entities preyed on his mind, suggesting a horrifying possibility. Chrome quickly realized the magnitude of the challenge before him. The woman was not only swift and mighty, but her weapon was enormous, making it hard for him to get close. Her strength seemed to rival, if not surpass, that of the formidable evil dragon leaders, placing her on par with the world's elite adventurers, the kind the knightly orders would vie to recruit. The thought of encountering such a formidable opponent in Rockat was beyond Chrome's wildest imaginations. Yet, as the battle ensued, Chrome noticed her guard dropping. Seizing the moment, he launched an attack, striking her down. As she lay on the ground, she mocked the pain, acknowledging Chrome's skill with a backhanded compliment. Though the wound was superficial, Chrome hoped it would diminish her strength. However, his shock was palpable when she effortlessly healed herself, revealing her mastery of white magic. Her enjoyment of the battle growing, despite her initial rush, indicated that Chrome had unwittingly entangled himself in a far more complex and dangerous confrontation than he had anticipated. Chrome quickly understood the strategy of his opponent. She wasn't exposing any weaknesses, rather she was playing the long game, leveraging her healing abilities to wear him down. As their blades met, sending sparks flying, Chrome recognized a battle of endurance was not in his favor. Both he and his adversary had the capacity to heal, but extending the fight would only lead to more harm to those around them. And with Arthur's eyes on them, Chrome couldn't risk revealing his monstrous true form, as it would compromise the city's defenses. Realizing he couldn't rely on brute force or his phantom skill, which feeds off an opponent's fear and was ineffective against the fearless, Chrome decided to employ the Soul Eater skill. His plan was to delve into her past to unearth her fears, a strategy that had worked against Galad. Everyone has something they fear, Chrome reasoned. And if he could pinpoint her terror, he could use Phantom to immobilize her. But she was keenly aware of Chrome's tactic as their swords clashed again. She wasn't about to fall for any obvious attacks, her caution evident. She taunted Chrome, suggesting that sustaining his skills must be taxing on his followers, striking a nerve with her insight. Enraged, Chrome lunged at her, only for his attack to be effortlessly countered, his sword sent flying. Her mockery continued, calling Chrome predictable for seeking a swift end to their duel. Yet, in the next moment, her confidence wavered. She noticed Chrome's intention behind dropping his sword wasn't desperation but a ploy. Ignoring the loss of his weapon, Chrome charged, his focus undeterred by Arthur's potential gaze. He slashed at her with his claws, activating the Dream Eater skill, aiming to access her memories. Transported into what he presumed was her mental realm, Chrome found himself in an unexpected void of white, starkly different from the vivid landscapes he'd encountered in others' minds. This blank canvas puzzled him. It was unlike anything he had seen before. Whether it be Galad's city in ruins or the dungeons and fields associated with monsters. Chrome stood in the empty expanse, contemplating the unusual emptiness. Chrome was desperate to understand the mysterious girl's motives, but the chaotic situation offered no chance for inquiry. Suddenly, a girl materialized before him. She was attempting to use a healing power, but to her frustration, it wasn't having the desired effect. Chrome's gaze then fell upon a horrifying sight. Bloody scissors, a knife, and the remains of rats that had been gruesomely experimented on. The girl's failed attempt to create a two-headed rat left Chrome frozen in horror. Noticing Chrome's presence, the girl turned her attention towards him. Suddenly, Chrome was overwhelmed by an intense headache, as if the girl's twisted thoughts were invading his mind. He realized she was fueled not by fear but by a disturbing sense of cruelty that seemed almost childlike in its malice. "You might not know what you've done, but that's a nasty trick you have there," the girl remarked, catching Chrome off guard. Before he could react, she had already struck him with her blade, sending him tumbling to the ground, his vision fading. As Chrome lay there, he understood the direness of his situation. The girl was far more formidable than he anticipated, and his ability to create illusions, the masquerade, was failing him. With no one around except Arthur, Chrome contemplated revealing his true form, but the risk of causing a panic in the already besieged town weighed heavily on him. Arthur, observing from a distance, initially thought Chrome's demise would serve his own ends, especially if Chrome was there for revenge. However, uncertainty crept in as the woman turned her attention to Arthur next. In a moment of desperation, Arthur grabbed a stone and wrapped it in flames with his magical ability. Throwing it at the woman, he managed to distract her, her clothes catching fire. Enraged, she charged at Arthur, stabbing him in the arm and eliciting a scream of pain from him. Seeing Arthur in danger, Chrome knew he could no longer afford to hesitate. The woman, having disarmed him earlier, was now poised to deliver a fatal blow. Just then, Arthur's flaming stone offered a brief distraction, allowing Chrome to reassess his strategy. Realizing the gravity of revealing his monstrous form but understanding the immediate threat they all faced, Chrome made a crucial decision. With Arthur wounded and the town's safety at stake, it was clear that maintaining his human guise was no longer viable. The time for hitting was over, it was time to act, regardless of the consequences. Arthur begged for mercy, his voice trembling. "Please, I don't want to die." Amidst the chaos, a sudden realization struck her as light seemed to converge in a specific pattern. Chrome, no longer concealing his true identity, revealed his monstrous form, leaving her utterly astonished. She puzzled over this unexpected turn of events, questioning the origin of this creature, as it did not match the monsters she had led to this place. Could this really be Chrome? In a swift attempt to defend herself, she narrowly dodged Chrome's clawed swipe but stumbled backward, caught off guard by the ferocity of his onslaught. Chrome's attack left her in shock, her eyes widening in terror as she barely managed to put distance between them. Observing from afar, Arthur was struck by the eerie presence of this creature, confirming his worst fears about Chrome's true nature. The woman, now facing Chrome, realized this was no ordinary beast. Unlike the mindless violence she expected from abyss-born monsters, Chrome exhibited a chilling mastery over his abilities, a rare anomaly that defied all her expectations. This realization was alarming. His existence alone could jeopardize their plans. Yet, she noted Chrome's powers were still maturing, presenting her with a critical opportunity to eliminate him before he became an insurmountable threat. Resorting to her most powerful technique, White Magic Immortal Demon, she prepared herself for an all-out battle. This spell, known for its ability to drastically enhance strength and speed while healing wounds by accelerating life energy, came at the cost of her own lifespan. With renewed vigor, she lunged at Chrome, declaring, "This ends now." Her attack seemed to reach Chrome, piercing his arm, but in a stunning display of strategy, Chrome had allowed the hit to seize her sword, leaving her astounded by his foresight. Chrome retaliated, striking her across the face, a blow that confirmed her worst fears about his strength. As she recoiled, touching the wound on her eye and hastily attempting to heal, she realized the gravity of her underestimation. Chrome had seized her weapon, forcing her to rely on her innate immortality. Chrome, in an astonishing turn of events, used her own weapon against her, delivering a stab that left her in disbelief. She couldn't fathom that Chrome, after seizing her weapon, would throw it only to retrieve it from her chest. As Chrome approached, he landed a punch so powerful it sent her flying a great distance. She recognized him as an incredible force, the first to introduce her to such exquisite agony. She lamented the inevitable rise in casualties if the battle prolonged and was determined to see it end, regardless of the mystical energy she wielded. She swung her weapon at Chrome, urging him to surrender, boasting of her immortality as long as she possessed mana. She was astounded by Chrome's existence, a creature that resisted its destructive urges and instead chose to aid humans. She mocked Chrome, recalling Arthur's aggression towards him, yet Chrome remained focused on winning the humans' approval, a goal she deemed pitiful for a monster. Chrome responded with an uppercut that twisted her head unnaturally. As she corrected her posture, she taunted him for his misunderstanding of immortality. Unfazed, Chrome's next attack was swift and merciless, dismembering her arm and splitting her torso, her body now divided, with blood pouring out. As her lower half kneeled and her upper half lay on the ground, Chrome contemplated the scene before him and decided to walk away. Unexpectedly, she launched herself at Chrome, aiming for a final attack. Chrome, ready for her, caught her in midair and smashed her to the ground. Amidst her laughter, she pitied Chrome, suggesting that no matter his efforts, he would never be embraced by humans. Chrome, accepting this reality, expressed that it mattered little to him. He then proceeded to ensure her defeat was final, his actions reflecting his deepest desire. Not for recognition, but to ease the suffering of those living in these troubled times. Having defeated her, Chrome earned 5,162 experience points, advancing from level 51 to 53. He felt fortunate that no one had witnessed this side of him. Arthur, having observed the fight, accused Chrome of being a monster, convinced that Chrome's ultimate intention was to return and destroy him. Holding his head high, Chrome tapped into his unique abilities, targeting Arthur. Suddenly, Arthur found himself lost in an endless void, his surroundings completely vanished. "Where am I?" he wondered aloud, panic rising. Chrome, using his phantom skill, had sent Arthur into this bewildering space. Arthur's voice echoed, calling for help, before he succumbed to unconsciousness on the cold ground. Chrome had hoped to resolve the situation quietly, without revealing his true powers. The method was a bit forceful, yet necessary to keep Arthur still and silent. Observing Arthur's disheveled appearance, Chrome figured it wouldn't be too far-fetched if Arthur accused him of being a monster upon waking. Reluctantly, Chrome realized he must now alter Arthur's memories, noting the dark circles under Arthur's eyes, clear signs of fear and weakness. Chrome couldn't help but think that Arthur deserved a bit of retribution for his actions, yet he was also aware of the potential trouble this could cause for Kamya. With a heavy heart, Chrome used the Dream Eater skill on Arthur, weaving a new set of memories. In this altered reality, Arthur found himself alongside another man, facing an onslaught of imps. As they fought off their attackers, a monstrous figure emerged, using its powers against the imps. Arthur's companions seized the moment, suggesting they escape while the monster distracted their foes. Arthur, although safe, sensed that something was amiss. The man explained that a dangerous monster had been spotted in the forest dungeon, a perfect opportunity to earn some substantial rewards. This led Arthur to inquire about their party's size and why nobody seemed to want Chrome, a man with a life-saving skill but no ability to fight or level up. Arthur bluntly told Chrome that no experienced adventuring party would take him, and that he was better suited for menial tasks. Despite this harsh reality check, the man offered Chrome a chance to join them on their adventure, promising not to demand anything unreasonable. He empathized with Chrome, mentioning the loss of his own parents to monsters. Chrome, moved by the gesture, confessed he was close to abandoning his dream of adventuring. Arthur agreed it was a wise decision, perhaps for the best. When Chrome thanked them for the invitation, Arthur hesitated, puzzled at how Chrome knew his name. It was then that Arthur awoke, still in Chrome's arms, confused and believing he had just been dreaming. Chrome passed Arthur to a bystander, asking them to ensure his safety. Chrome shared with Arthur that he was attacked by a strange woman, leading to his collapse. His memories were a bit unclear, but he distinctly remembered that incident. Arthur, piecing things together, wondered if Chrome had been the one to save him. He inquired if Chrome was perhaps a wandering adventurer, having not seen him in these parts before. With a gentle smile, Chrome proceeded to wipe Arthur's memories of their encounter clean. This way, Arthur wouldn't stir up any trouble by making wild claims about monsters, ensuring no complications for Kamya. Chrome believed that without the burden of these memories, Arthur could finally enjoy a peaceful night's sleep. Suddenly, Arthur's eyes widened in shock, and he dropped to his knees, perplexed at his own actions, feeling a deep need to apologize for reasons unknown to him. Crome understood that with the memories erased, Arthur's subconscious guilt had emerged, nearly overwhelming him with its weight. Assuring Arthur he was just disoriented, Crome walked away, leaving Arthur behind, who could only stare blankly as Crome bid him farewell. Meanwhile, the city was under siege by a fearsome species known as the Third Eye, formidable creatures of level 18 that filled the air with their enraged growls. Humans were caught off guard, struggling against the assault of these relentless beings. Amid the chaos, a valiant figure stood firm, his sword at the ready, as he faced down one of these monstrous foes, trying to shield himself from its gaping maw. He signaled to his ally, emphasizing the need to escort women and children to the safety of the city's northern reaches. Out of the shadows, a new, darkly cloaked species appeared, its presence marked by a deep, ominous growl that added a layer of dread to the battlefield. This creature, emerging from the depths of a dungeon, signaled a dire turn of events as it halted the flow of impure mana that shielded its kind. With this protective barrier gone, monsters of the same breed as this dungeon boss began to converge, driven by its powerful mana, and launched an assault on the city. The arrival of the dungeon boss, a being capable of causing such devastation, marked a critical moment. With the dungeon's protective mana gone, the situation became desperate. The man realized that defeating this boss was the key to ending the nightmare, yet the task seemed insurmountable. As he faced the oncoming horde of Third Eye monsters, his resolve was tested, fearing for the fate of all, including Rockat, as these creatures charged, ready to wreak untold destruction. As the pressure mounted, the man, driven by a fierce determination, clenched his weapon tighter. He positioned himself, ready to face the oncoming nightmare, willing to lay down his life for the town he loved. But in the nick of time, an unexpected ally emerged. Crow stepped in, advising him to step aside and let him handle the impending doom. The man turned to Chrome, his eyes wide with disbelief, wondering how one person could possibly take on such an insurmountable force. As if on cue, a wave of Third Eye monsters charged, their eyes ablaze with fury. Chrome didn't flinch. With graceful and lethal moves, he cut through them, each strike bringing down an enemy. The counter of vanquished foes ticked up, from 6 to 8, showcasing Chrome's exceptional skill in battle. The man watched, astounded by Chrome's prowess, questioning who this mysterious warrior could be. The monsters, enraged by Chrome's defiance, snarled viciously. Yet, Chrome stood his ground, boldly inviting them to try their luck against him, signaling his readiness to defend the city against all threats. As darkness enveloped the battleground, the ground became a testament to Chrome's ferocity, littered with the bodies of fallen monsters. Chrome, undaunted, continued his relentless assault, cutting through the monsters with unmatched skill. Suddenly, a sly monster attacked from behind, catching Chrome off guard. Quick as a flash, Chrome countered, using his sword's handle to break free and split the attacker in two, earning 6 more experience points. Though wounded, Chrome's resilience shone through. He activated his regeneration skill, healing the bite wound with little concern for the mana it cost. Then, plunging his sword into another monster, Chrome utilized his Dream Eater skill, draining the creature of its essence and gaining 5 experience points, thus replenishing his mana. With every swing of his blade, Chrome's tactics became clear. Through a combination of regeneration and Dream Eater skills, he remained unstoppable, his strength far surpassing the monsters. He chose not to reveal his true form, knowing these foes were no match for him. The man, overwhelmed with relief and admiration, celebrated the arrival of such a formidable ally. Another encouraged him to take inspiration from Chrome's bravery, highlighting the need to safeguard their city. Meanwhile, a distant observer recognized Chrome, puzzled by his survival and questioning if this was indeed the Chrome he once knew. Throughout the ordeal, as Chrome's sword danced through the monsters, their blood painting the ground, the question of his identity lingered. The observer couldn't help but marvel at Chrome's relentless battle against the monsters, noting the clear differences between the legend before him and the Chrome he thought he knew. Chrome's dark hair and ordinary physique contrasted sharply with the heroic tales that painted him with Herculean strength and different features. More so, the cold, serious look on Chrome's face was far from what the observer had expected. Despite these differences, Chrome's skill was undeniable, prompting the man to commend his extraordinary prowess. With Chrome's help, there seemed a glimmer of hope in stopping the monster's rampage and preventing more losses. Amidst the praise, Chrome himself sensed a change in the atmosphere. A sudden surge of mana alerted him to the proximity of the Dungeon Disaster's boss, casting a dark shadow over the battle. The arrival of the dungeon boss sent waves of fear through the man as he caught sight of the formidable creature. Its eyes surveyed the destruction, witnessing the aftermath of Chrome's powerful onslaught against the Third Eye monsters now scattered lifelessly around. Angered by the sight, the boss, with a swift movement of its tail, shattered the city's walls, worsening the crisis. The observer, driven by fear and resolve, rallied the survivors, urging them to unite. He proclaimed that defeating the boss could end their nightmare. It was then Chrome stepped forward, his voice cutting through the despair, confidently claiming he could take on the boss by himself. This bold declaration left the observer in disbelief, warning Chrome of the recklessness of facing the dungeon boss, Fenrir, a level 46 rank C monster, alone. Chrome, unfazed by the caution, stood ready to confront Fenrir. A quick evaluation showed Fenrir to be less formidable than previous foes, Galad and the Devil Monkey, bolstering Chrome's resolve. With no hesitation, Chrome attacked, striking Fenrir and drawing first blood. As Fenrir staggered back, recognizing the threat Chrome posed, Chrome's determination shone through. He was resolute in protecting Rockat from further devastation. The tension was palpable as Chrome prepared to engage Fenrir directly. The monsters, already wounded, sensed the imminent threat from Chrome's powerful presence. The stage was set for a critical showdown, with Chrome facing the Dungeon Disaster's boss head-on. The sight of Chrome stepping up to face the Dungeon Disaster's boss was nothing short of awe-inspiring. There he stood, poised on the rooftop, a lone figure against the looming shadow of the gargantuan beast. The crowd of onlookers was captivated, their eyes wide with wonder at Chrome's fearless determination to take on the monstrous adversary by himself. The dungeon boss, a towering creature adorned with countless eyes, presented a formidable challenge. Yet, Chrome did not flinch. He activated his regeneration skill, readying himself for the battle, healing any existing injuries in preparation for the fight ahead. The air was thick with tension as the beast focused its many-eyed gaze on Chrome, growling a warning of the imminent clash. With a burst of speed, Chrome launched himself off the roof, skillfully closing in on the giant. His movements were a blur, striking the creature with precision and force, each hit landing with significant impact. Upon landing, Chrome assessed his situation, bolstered by his high level and the potent combination of his Dream Eater and regeneration abilities. He was confident, despite the monster's resilience, believing steadfastly in his ability to outlast it in a test of endurance. However, the battle took an unexpected turn. Chrome watched in disbelief as the dungeon boss, seemingly overpowered by his onslaught, started to retreat. The bystanders realized the gravity of the situation. If the monster escaped, it could wreak havoc elsewhere. A palpable sense of urgency filled the air as they contemplated how to prevent further disaster. Chrome acted with decisive swiftness, deploying chains that snared the creature's leg, binding it securely. The boss, now trapped, surveyed its predicament with its numerous eyes, only to spot a shape-shifting monster in the distance. This sight struck fear into the heart of the dungeon boss, which growled anxiously. Seizing this moment of vulnerability, Chrome activated his phantom skill, heightening the creature's fear. He didn't hesitate, delivering a powerful strike to the creature's neck, from which blood poured freely. The once fearsome dungeon boss was swiftly defeated, falling before Chrome's relentless attack. The victory was not just a display of Chrome's strength, but also incredibly rewarding. He gained a whopping 2,241 experience points, which elevated him from level 53 to 54. The onlookers were left in stunned silence, marveling at how Chrome had single-handedly brought down the colossal dungeon boss. Smiling with a sense of accomplishment, Chrome reflected on his victory. The defeat of the dungeon boss meant the crisis that had loomed over the city was now dissipating. His bravery and skills had not just saved countless lives, but had also neutralized the immediate danger that had emerged from the dungeon's depths. As calm began to replace chaos, a wave of relief swept through the onlookers, their faces brightening at the sight of Chrome's triumphant stance. Yet, even in victory, Chrome couldn't shake off a feeling that something was amiss. Memories of a young woman claiming to have led the monstrous horde to them gnawed at his mind. Caught up in the urgency of battle, Chrome had no chance to question her further, leaving a mystery hanging in the air. Amidst whispers of admiration, the town buzzed with talks of a hero's rise. Chrome, curious yet cautious of drawing too much attention, decided to steer the narrative. He saw the lingering danger as monsters roamed the streets and called for action. His voice carried authority as he instructed the townspeople to regroup and tackle the remnants of the threat, ensuring no creature would lurk in the shadows. As the crowd absorbed his directive, determination replaced fear. Chrome watched as they dispersed, ready to defend their homes, and he knew it was his cue to step back, his duty for the day complete. With the town rallying to cleanse the remaining darkness, Chrome felt a deep satisfaction in his heart for protecting his beloved home. Yet, in a fleeting moment, a figure dashed by, stirring a sense of intrigue in Chrome. The quick glance left him pondering the identity of this mysterious individual, and if, perhaps, it was a reflection of himself in some parallel existence. The differences in demeanor and aura between them were stark. Yet Chrome chose to keep these thoughts to himself. Knowing Arthur's knack for misunderstanding, it seemed best to leave some mysteries untold. The quiet of the night enveloped the town, a stark contrast to the day's turmoil. Chrome returned to the scene where he had earlier faced one of his foes, determined to ensure no stone was left unturned. In the stillness, he reaffirmed his commitment to safeguard his community, leaving no chance for threats to rise again. In the aftermath of the battle, Chrome felt a deep unease. There was something about the woman lying before him that stirred an instinctive alarm, a sense of discomfort that was hard to shake off. Standing there, he was enveloped by a strange, ominous feeling. As if an unseen force was connecting him to this mysterious woman in a way he couldn't understand. The once chaotic scene around the night now seemed eerily quiet, highlighting the lingering questions. When he first saw her, Chrome felt an unusual pull, quickly replaced by a wave of nausea that seemed to originate from deep within him, a feeling that didn't leave even as he looked at her still form. His focus narrowed on an odd, round object close to the woman's chest. Chrome couldn't help but be drawn to it, wondering if this artifact was the source of the strange attraction he felt. He became convinced that this item might have something to do with the monsters plaguing Rockat. Unsure of its exact nature but unable to leave it behind, Chrome felt compelled to explore the mystery of the woman and her influence further. As the light of day returned to Rockat, revealing the extent of the night's turmoil, the injured were tended to. Amidst the healing and rebuilding, Kamya, Chrome's sister, arrived, searching for her brother. Noticing his absence, she grew worried. The town buzzed with stories of a white-haired adventurer who had defeated a formidable enemy, saving Rockat from destruction. Hearing these tales, Kamya recognized the description of her brother's distinctive appearance and abilities. A sense of gratitude and relief washed over her as she realized her brother was the unsung hero of Rockat. This news lifted Kamya's spirits, easing the anxiety that had settled in her heart during Chrome's absence. She remembered his promises, the determination in his eyes when he spoke of his dream to protect her, to be a hero. These memories, filled with warmth, reminded her of the strong bond between them. She also recalled a tender moment when Chrome had apologized, promising to become stronger and always return to her side. Kamya held on to her memories dearly, each one a shining example of her brother's dedication to keep her safe and supported. As she dwelled on these moments, a smile found its way to her face, wrapping her in a wave of positivity. This hopeful aura stemmed from her eager anticipation for her brother's return, imagining the day when Chrome would step back through their door, his bravery and heroic acts the talk of the town. In the grand capital of Rayburg, a significant day was unfolding. Within a luxurious chamber, a man of high rank listened intently to a messenger, who brought troubling news of a dreadful event at the watchtower in Rockat. The report hinted at human foul play behind the massacre, a notion that stirred concern. However, another man in the room, standing close to the authority figure, voiced his doubts. He warned against jumping to conclusions, pointing out how monster attacks often led to unfounded rumors and panic. With a wave of his hand, he tried to dispel the worry, suggesting they take a more cautious approach to such chaotic news. The room tensed as the first man stood his ground, his frustration visible as he debated the skepticism of his colleague. His concern deepened as he mentioned the mysterious claws of Devon and the alarming tales of the Red Man. The second man, growing tired of the argument, watched with a blend of annoyance and impatience, feeling the pressing weight of their words about the looming Judgment Day, which cast a shadow of dread over them. A woman in the room, caught up in the intensity of the debate, found herself deeply intrigued by the notion of a Judgment Day. As the meeting dispersed, their conversation turned into hushed, irritated whispers. She couldn't help but feel that their squabbling was trivial in the face of the real challenges that loomed large. With a sense of annoyance, she pondered the greater issues that needed addressing, realizing that their verbal spats offered no solution to the imminent threats. Milla, detecting the tension among the knight captains, approached Captain Ellen for some insight. Her curiosity was piqued by the unsettling atmosphere and the rumors about a mysterious red man, characterized by a distinctive red birthmark, who was rumored to be behind the recent increase in monster attacks. Intriguingly, there seemed to be no official effort to track down this figure, leaving his existence a matter of speculation and whispered tales among the ranks. Despite Ellen's efforts to clarify the situation, Miller couldn't shake off her intuition that there was more to the story than was being shared by the knight captains. She felt a deep suspicion that hidden truths lay beneath the surface. Ellen, aware of the risks of wild guessing, advised Miller to not get too caught up in these uncertainties. Appreciating his perspective, she offered an apology, understanding the value of his caution. Ellen, somewhat frustrated yet resigned, mentioned how his subordinates were reacting wildly, comparing them to unruly monkeys. It was then he saw a chance to confide in Mila, considering her his trusted lieutenant. Mila was taken aback, her surprise evident, as Ellen chose this moment to reveal a long-kept secret, one that traced back 100 years. He told her about a lord from the countryside who had managed to control monsters for his own nefarious purposes, launching an assault on the capital. This lord was identified as Viscount Arrows, a figure with distinctive red hair and a birthmark, tying him to the current rumors about a mysterious red man. Mila, puzzled by the implications, wondered aloud if Ellen could be this red man, though such a thing seemed impossible due to the time gap. Ellen didn't stop there. He ventured further into the past, about 300 years ago, to tell of a court mage executed for supposedly cursing an entire town. The story was murky, lacking in specifics, which made its truth hard to pin down. What stood out was the mage's description: fiery red hair and a noticeable inflammation marking his face. This detail unnerved Mila, the resemblance too stark to ignore. Ellen then went even further back, 1,000 years, to when humanity received a divine blessing that allowed them to live without fear of monsters. Mila, intrigued, asked for more details. Ellen explained, referencing sacred texts, how this blessing caused a devastating backlash, plunging the world into 7 days of catastrophic events. Earthquakes, floods, tornadoes, flames, and an onslaught of monsters. As he depicted this time of ancient chaos, Ellen came to the heart of his tale. The emergence of a monstrous creature on the last day. This beast, with its unnatural red color, seemed to embody the calamities themselves, crawling from the depths of a blood-red swamp. The news shook Mila to her core, filling her heart with a deep sense of unease. She found herself caught in the whirlwind of a story that blended divine gifts with terrible curses. As Mila processed everything Ellen had shared, she needed to know if the red man mentioned in ancient texts was the same being causing so much fear. Ellen, careful with his words, acknowledged that many from the old religious circles believed it to be true. Yet, this sensitive information was tightly held within the nation's leadership, hidden from the public to avoid panic. Ellen, undaunted by the mysteries shrouding the red man's true nature, stressed the immediate danger posed by increasing monster attacks. He announced that uncovering the Red Man's identity was now their paramount mission, as it was key to averting the looming threat to humanity. Elsewhere, a person reading a report couldn't hide their satisfaction, noting the precision of Asher's foresight. The adventurers Asher had sent to Rockat had managed to quell a monstrous threat much quicker than anticipated, showcasing Asher's strategic genius. Complimenting Asher, they promised him unfettered access to resources for his research, and hinted at a potential partnership that could lead not just to ruling their country but perhaps the entire world. Yet Asher's reaction was not one of joy but of intense frustration, his fist striking the table hard. This outburst revealed a complex web of feelings and motives beneath his calm exterior. His frustration was evident, contradicting the expectations of celebration, signaling a deep-seated dissatisfaction with the situation. As someone expressed concern over his state, Asher found himself reflecting on the significance of their latest endeavor. The mere thought that the dungeon, deemed a minor threat, had been overcome so effortlessly troubled him. Galad, a trusted ally known for her loyalty and powerful magic that could defy death, had been part of this operation. The notion that someone in Rockat had overcome both Galad and Fenrir, the fearsome beasts they had unleashed, was almost too much for Asher to fathom, stirring a whirlpool of doubts and questions in his mind. The air thickened with suspicion, veering towards the thought that perhaps the knights had a hand in the unfolding events, possibly seizing the crystal filled with Asher's essence. Yet, Asher harbored doubts about the present leader's ability to execute such a covert mission, especially when a more straightforward method seemed within reach, should they possess the requisite skill. He couldn't shake off the presence of an unknown factor stirring the pot. Regardless of the complexity, we stand at the same crossroads, Asher declared, introducing the term irregular into the conversation, which caught Misto's attention, sparking curiosity about the enigmatic term Asher hinted at. With resolve in his eyes, Asher defined an irregular as a monstrous being birthed by the so-called cursed deity that loomed over their realm. His hand slammed down on the table, underlining the severity of their predicament. In a gesture of deep respect and thanks, Asher stood up and offered a bow to Count Misto, acknowledging the invaluable support lent to his research endeavors. This moment of recognition was crucial, marking a significant stride in their joint mission. However, the atmosphere took a turn as Asher voiced concerns about a lurking threat within Rockat, suspecting that one of his team might have been targeted by an unseen adversary. Understanding the gravity of this revelation, Asher implored Count Misto to make the identification and elimination of this peril a top priority. Asher sought not just support for his research financially, but also Misto's intervention in mitigating this imminent danger. Elsewhere, far from these discussions, Chrome inspected the crystal he'd taken from Gareth, the woman he had recently defeated. Little did he know, this crystal was of paramount importance, as it harbored Asher's blood, a critical piece in the puzzle, linking various narratives in the complex web of their fates.